na po, yung pag-debit po namin sa bangko, it's manual being given to the bank po, yung kung ano yung i-debit to the bank.
Come again, Mr. Ma'am Aragona, pakiulit nga po.
The manual is the debit.
Sige, pare.
Copy dito, papel.
Sige. Mr. Chair, naubos po yung ating oras. So meron silang rules and regulation with regard sa auto credit payment system at ang operator po ng auto credit payment system ay ang Treasury Department. Sino po ang head ng Treasury Department?
Sino ba head ng Treasury Department?
Sino po? Ano pong pangalan niyo, ma'am?
Good morning, Mr. Congressman. I'm
Yes.
Attorney Emily Roque from the Treasury Department under the Fund Management Sector.
So kayo po ang operator ng ACPS.
Sir, the duty of the Treasury Department is to use the ACPS just to release the fund, but we are not the owner of the ACPN system, sir.
Sino po nag-ooperate ng auto credit payment system? Ibig sabihin po, kaya ako tinatanong, operator ng automatic credit payment system, sino yung gumagawa nun? Sino pinaka-head na mag-uutos na, o sige, transfer mo na yan sa mga health,
Okay.
health care institutions? Sino yun? Treasury ba o IT sector?
Okay, sir. In that case, sir, it is the Treasury Department to actually request for the funding and at the same time issue the automatic debit instruction to the bank
Okay.
to the ACPS system, sir.
So kayo po, ma'am, ang nag-ooperate ng
Yes.
ACPS. At
Yes.
sinasabi nyo, okay, transfer na tong 500 o 50 million sa ganitong bangko para sa ganitong ospital.
Sir, it will be issued to the regional offices, sir, not direct to...
Okay, i-issue sa regional offices. Okay. Ngayon, kayo po ba ay qualified kayo po ba ay inaprubahan ng anumang ahensya ng gobyerno para sabihin na kayo po ay qualified na i-operate yung ACPS?
Sir,
Ano pong government agency ang nag-approve na kayo ay qualified?
Sir, it is within the function of the Treasury Department, sir, under the corporation law, under the PhilHealth management, sir, to be the one in charge in the funding, investment, and ensuring that all the needed disbursements, funding of the regional offices are duly made, sir.
Honorable Fernandez.
Yes.
I apologize. Your time's up. In the second round, we have all the time today. Do not worry. After session, maybe, yeah. Please wrap up.
Okay. Okay, anyway, yung pong humingi po ba kayo ng authority sa Bangko Sentral bilang operator ng ACPS? Yes or no? Yes or no lang
No,
po?
sir, no.
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 Are you designated the right payment system by the Monetary Board or ng Bangko Sentral? Yes or no?
Pardon, sir,
Were you designated by the Bangko Sentral? Kayo po ay sinabi ng Bangko Sentral na okay, i-operate niyo yung payment system na yan. Binigyan ba kayo ng authority?
None,
Hindi
sir.
din.
Apo.
In other words, Mr. Chairman, ino-operate po nila ang auto credit payment system without authority coming from the Bangko Sentral, which is in violation of Republic Act 1127. Sa Republic Act 1127, pakipost nga yung slide natin sa Republic Act 1127. Specifically, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Fernandez, I apologize. I will allow you on the second round to make that presentation.
No, it's not presentation, Mr. Chairman. I'm just showing the
Yes.
Republic Act 1127 because, Mr. Chairman, dito po sa Republic Act 1127, binabanggit po dito, Mr. Chairman, okay, under Section 6, maliwanag, Mr. Chairman, powers of the Bangko Sentral in the performance of its mandate under this Act, the Bangko Sentral shall have, in addition to its powers under existing laws, the following powers. no person or entity shall be allowed to act as an operator of a designated payment system without prior authority from the central bank. So in other words, Mr. Chairman, nag-ooperate ang ACPS o the Credit Payment System, nagre-release kayo ng pera papunta sa inyong mga HCIs without getting a prior approval from Bangko Sentral, which is in violation of 1127. Policy sector, Mr. Pargas.
Maraming salamat, the Honorable Dan Fernandez. I apologize as agreed in our discussion. We
Mr.
still
Chairman,
have
last na po.
15 interpollators this afternoon. But anyway, wala po tayong problema ngayong hapon. We will continue on the second round and I will recognize you on the second. You will be the first one. So thank you, the Honorable Fernandez. Anyway, before I continue, Deputy Speaker Fernandez, you are a doctor, correct? Doktor po kayo.
Yeah, I'm a doctor.
Kaya po, baka po hindi nalaman ng ating mga kaibigan na si Deputy Speaker Fernandez ay isa rin pong doktor at napakalang interest niya dito sa pag-uusap tungkol sa PhilHealth. Now, if I may continue, kumari ko pong tawagin. Oh, before that, dito po sa pagtatanong, no, meron po lang kasi kami nakuhang feedback. Yung AKTI, yung National Kidney, seemingly daw umatras na doon sa PhilHealth benefits o hindi na nagbibigay. Another one is Red Cross. Doon po sa testing ninyo, meron daw pong 700 million na hindi nababayaran. Anyway, in the course of the discussion, baka pwede nyo pong linawin itong mga points ito. I'll now recognize the Honorable PD Barsaga to start with this interpellation. Congressman Barsaga.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Unang-una, I have a very brief PowerPoint presentation tungkol sa mga naging presidente ng PhilHealth during the time of our president. Francis. Hi. Ha? Yung una.
Chair, Congressman PD, the documents that you have asked for were not submitted to this honorable committee. They were not able to submit the documents. Comsec.
Session suspended. Honorable Barsaga? Do you want Honorable Barsaga to proceed first with the next interpellator and then come back to you? Okay.
Okay. Again, good morning. Unang-una, during the last hearing, tinanong ko kay Dr. Pargas ang status ng mga kaso ng PhilHealth. Unfortunately, based on our records, hindi alam ni Dr. Pargas, kaya ang ginawa, naghanap tayo ng ating mga resource persons sa Zoom who among the PhilHealth officials could answer my inquiry tungkol doon sa mga kasong nakapile. So ang ginawa na lang natin, hinihingi ko ang status for today's hearing. I would take advantage of the presence of Attorney Del Rosario, who happens to be the head of the legal. Unang-una, ang isang pumutok na malaking kaso about PhilHealth would be the cataract operations. Ano ang status nitong cataract operation na lumabas noong 2004?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Congressman. First, I would like to take the opportunity to apologize to the Honorable...
Just a moment.
I'm sorry.
Sinabi ng ating chairman kanina na binibigyan lamang kami ng 20 minuto, and that includes the answer and the question.
I will allow
Therefore, I would expect that the answer would be direct to my question. Wag na yung mga explanation. Ang tanong ko simple, ano ang update sa cataract operation na nangyari noong 2004? Meron bang kasyong pinail?
Honorable Barsaga, I will allow the 2 minutes for the Attorney Del Rosario to explain, and then after which your
Okay.
time will run. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Attorney Del Rosario.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to formally apologize for my absence last hearing. I have every intention to attend, albeit electronically, since I was suffering from hypertension. I'm suffering from, I'm a hypertensive diabetic, and my BP was 170/100 that day. So I already submitted my explanation to the show cause that was sent to me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Your apology is noted. Now continue with the interpellation with the Honorable Barsaga.
Maraming salamat, Attorney Del Rosario. Sana hindi ka magkaroon ng hypertension sa mga itatanong ko ngayong umaga. So, una natin cataract. As the head of the legal, ano status nito?
Sir, when I assumed legal SPP in 2018, we conducted the inventory, and based on the records, the cataract cases were prosecuted, and there were several decisions already. I think we have submitted a comprehensive report on that. But my problem is, when I assumed, it was brought to my attention that around 3,000 cases, more or less, were archived.
Ang tinatanong lang natin cataract. Meron bang kasyong naipal sa husgado?
Yes, sir. Several cases were filed against the doctors, and
Okay.
these are all still pending.
Are they still pending, or has there been a decision?
But based on my knowledge, Mr. Chairman, these are all pending. I will get the details.
Okay, never mind.
I'm sorry.
You just submit tomorrow the update of all these cases,
Okay, sir.
whether filed in court, whether dismissed, as well as the administrative cases filed against the doctors involved.
Yes, sir. Will do, sir.
Pagkatapos noong 2011, may nabasa na naman ako sa pahayagan. Meron na naman tayong payment PhilHealth ng isang multinational firm for the premiums of each employees amounting to approximately 140 million. Hindi napadeposito sa account ng PhilHealth at sa halip ay napadeposito sa isang branch ng isang malaking bangko sa Tanawan, Batangas. Natatandaan mo ba yung asuntong to? Itong,
Yes, sir.
yes. Ano status ng kasong yan?
The case was investigated by the National Bureau of Investigation. PhilHealth conducted its own investigation. Several people were administratively charged, and two of them were already dismissed from the service.
You give a, if I will ask you right now kung sino-sino yung mga PhilHealth officials who were charged, you cannot give their names.
Yes, sir.
What is yes, sir?
The ones dismissed was the database administrator. His name is Noel
Okay.
Ramirez.
You just give us a listing ng
Okay.
lahat ng PhilHealth officials na na-dismiss. Meron pa bang pending administrative cases involving this 140 million?
There's a pending administrative case related
Okay.
to that. Yeah.
You give us the data about the administrative case tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
Next question. Meron bang kasong kriminal na naipile about this 140 million?
114, sir.
114.
Based on record, sir, there was none.
There was none.
Yes, sir.
You explain to us why no criminal case was filed, although employees of PhilHealth were dismissed. In writing, you submit us tomorrow. Kaya mo ba, Attorney
Yes, sir.
Darosario?
We will submit the
Okay,
status of that.
next
Yeah.
question. WellMed, dialysis.
Yes, sir.
Ang kaso na-dismiss sa Quezon City Regional Court. Were their cases subsequently filed?
Yes, sir. The cases was subsequently filed by the Department of Justice to the Metropolitan Trial Court.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
madaling sabi, the offended party happens to be PhilHealth.
I'm sorry, sir.
Offended party happens
sir.
to be the PhilHealth.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Kasi pondo nyo
Yes, sir.
ang involved. Do you have a record of all those cases filed?
Yes, sir. We
Okay,
have the
you
record.
can submit it also tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We will do, sir.
Okay. Now, sinabit nyo rin ngayon ang kaso sa akin upon my request, complaints filed with PRC. During the last hearing, nag-submit kayo rito ng mahigit 7,000 kaso starting from 2000 up to the present. Ang una kong tanong, may mga kaso bang kriminal na naipal dito sa 7,000 cases?
Yes, sir. The instruction of our PhilHealth Board is...
Okay.
Yeah.
Kung meron mga kasong kriminal, you are a lawyer, you submit to us a summary of those cases filed, identifying the basic particulars. Number 1, saang husgado. Number 2, who are the accused. Number 3, ano ang status. Number 4, kung dismiss. Kung acquitted, kung convicted, you give us the record.
Okay, sir.
You can give us...
Yes. We will also provide you, sir, the list of the cases that we forwarded to the National Bureau of Investigation.
Okay. Now I will go to IRM. Sa IRM, sino ba ang mga taga-PhilHealth na nag-conceive ng IRM?
Sir, the IRM has been in existence for...
No, is that from the legal department?
I'm sorry, sir.
Ang tanong ko, sino ba sa mga taga-PhilHealth ang nag-conceive ng IRM for COVID? Never mind the Yolanda,
Reduce, yeah.
never mind the Taal, never mind the Marawi incident. I will limit my discussion regarding IRM for COVID. Sino ba ang nag-suggest nito kay General Morales?
I
Among the
don't have any...
bright boys of PhilHealth.
I don't have any personal knowledge,
No,
sir.
that's why I'm no longer asking the legal. Yung mga policy makers
Okay.
natin sa PhilHealth.
Dr. Pargas
Sino
of
ba?
Dr. Pargas of the Health Policy, please reply.
Mr. Chair, the IRM is an existing policy. So It's an existing policy.
So,
it was
kaya nga
adopted.
existing. Pero ang sinasabi ko, kahit na existing policy, kinonceptualize nyo ang mechanics, the amount involved together with the recipients ng IRM for COVID. Hindi naman bigla na lang parang bula o parang singaw na lumabas to. So ang tanong ko, sino ang nag-conceptualize nitong IRM sa PhilHealth for COVID? Wala.
Management, sir.
None.
The management.
O
Because it
sino
is,
nagawa ng policy? General Morales?
no, sir. Because
Sino
again,
nga?
the policy came from us po.
Sino nga yung us?
The health finance policy
Sino?
sector.
You identify all these persons.
The health finance policy
Ha?
sector. The health-
Slowly.
I head po the health finance policy sector.
Ikaw,
Yes, sir.
aside from you, may katulong ka pa.
Yes, sir.
Oh, who are your persons who help you?
The program management team for claims, sir. The program management team for claims is headed by Dr. Michael Ele. Jonathan Michael Ele.
Ano ang family name, Mr. Chairman? Anong pangalan ulit? Jonathan?
Michael Ele.
Spell L.
E-L-E.
Ele. Please continue.
Next, who else? Kayong dalawa na lamang?
No, sir, because again,
Ano nga, i-identify mo na, limited time tayo eh.
the sector po,
We are talking here of a 30 billion IRM. 27 ba?
27 billion.
Ha?
27 billion.
O 27 billion. Ang tinatanong ko lang, sino ang nag-conceptualize nito? Ikaw, Dr. Jonathan, who else? No more?
sir, again, this is an existing policy since 2013.
Sino nga?
During that time po, I was not around in
There is.
2013. I was not around in 2013 in the health
Hindi
policy sector.
na natin pinag-uusapan yung 2013 eh.
Hindi naman ikaw
Hindi
eh.
na natin pinag-uusapan ng Marawi, hindi na natin pinag-uusapan ng Yolanda. Ang pinag-uusapan na lamang natin, yung IRM for COVID amounting to 27 billion. I know that General Morales, ang kanyang background, military, hindi sa doktor. So ang tanong ko, sino ang nag-conceive nitong policy na magbibigay tayo ng 27 billion sa mga health facilities?
Was there a board resolution, Mr. Chairman? Was there a board resolution for this?
Chair.
So the board is part of the policy. Sila nag-form ng policy or they just affirmed or ratified the act of management? Ano yan?
Sir, there was a board resolution in January 30 making the IRM as part of the special privileges during fortuitous events. And then there was another, so that was the source.
Teka. Mr. Chairman, yung January 30 resolution was referring to Taal pa yata eh.
Yes.
Hindi pa yata.
I think,
Hindi
just to
pa
be
COVID.
clear, no? Klaro yung tanong ni Congressman Barsaga. Yung gumawa nito is dalawa lang kayo, Dr. Pargas and Mr. John Ele.
Mr. Chair, may I just clarify? The January resolution, other
No.
than that,
Let's not talk about the board. Kasi yung board,
Clarification lang ha. Alam natin ang board, like in an ordinary corporation, they determine the policies. Pero yung policies, naggagaling sa kanilang mga officials nila, the operating officers. Kaya ang tanong ko, sino ang nag-conceptualize ito? Dr. Bragas. Then
Yes.
you mentioned a
Vargas.
certain Jonathan. Who else? Wala na?
Sir, Mr. Chair, again, the application for the IRM.
Hindi na natin
especially for-
pinag-uusapan yung
Teka lang,
application for IRM eh.
Opo.
Ang pinag-uusapan lamang natin dito, before na magkaroon ng IRM, sino nag-conceptualize nito
Mr.
sa inyo among the bright people of PhilHealth?
Mr. Chair.
You, who else?
Mr. Chair.
Teka, who daw?
for
Who? The question
COVID
is who. Don't say anything more. Sabihin mo lang sino-sino. Just say who.
Sir, when we
Wala na explanation, Mr. Chairman. The question is who? Mr. Pargas, di ba?
The
Ano ba yung
EXICOM po.
who, why, when? Ito tanong who.
For the COVID po, it was the Execom.
Sino yung
Mr.
Execom?
Chairman, if the resource speaker, Mr. Pagas, will continue to defy the question, reminding that we will be cite you in contempt. Kaya sabihin nyo na po, ano pa pong problema kung sasabihin nyo kung sino? Diretsuhin nyo na po at wag nyo na paikutin ng committee na ito.
For the COVID, sir, the Execom is composed of ako po, SVP Del Rosario, SVP Mas, SVP Limsiaco, Jovita Aragona, SVP Santiago, EVP Arnel, and of course the President.
So lahat po ng board members hindi kasama, yun lang po sa member ng board.
Okay.
Execom. Go ahead,
So,
continue.
okay. Meron bang minutes ang meeting ng sinasabi mong Execom na nag-conceive ng COVID IRM?
We have po. We have po from our core plan being the Secretariat,
Oh, we'll be asking for a copy.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Next question. Ang IRM was intended to address the COVID problem in the country. Yes or no?
Oh, the pandemic.
Yes. Okay. Kaya ang katanungan ng marami, bakit natin sinama ang mga dialysis center na alam naman ng bawat isa, hindi sila nagda-dialysis sa mga COVID patients?
Mr. Chair, again, the IRM po should be based on a declaration of a state of calamity or a state of an emergency. And there was a...
Kaya ang tanong ko, bakit nyo sinama? Pag sinabi mo namang state of calamity, ang state of calamity natin ay COVID. Yun namang dialysis center. It has been there for so many years. Kaya yung tanong ko, bakit nyo sinama ko ang dialysis? Who was the one who proposed sa executive committee na isama natin ang COVID?
Again, Mr. Chair, because the intent is really to respond to the pandemic.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, with our permission.
Honorable Remulla, let
Okay.
the Honorable Bersago continue.
Sa
Then
inyo
after.
ba ang executive committee, pinag-usapan nyo kung ano-anong klaseng sakit ang pwedeng gamitin ang IRM?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Okay, number one, wala tayong problema sa mga ospital or HCI na tumatanggap ng COVID. Ngayon, isinama natin ang dialysis. Ang premise ko sa dialysis center ay no for a fact na hindi sila as a rule nagtitreat ng dialysis for COVID positive. Ang tanong ko, who among the members of the executive committee ang nagsuggest na isama natin ang dialysis? O walang nagsuggest? O lahat nagsuggest?
No, sir. There were requests also coming from these facilities, including other facilities.
Request coming from dialysis centers?
Sir.
O, ibig nyo sabihin, bago kayo mag-IRM, sinabi na ng mga dialysis centers na isama nyo kami dialysis center sa IRM?
No, Mr. Chair.
Yes. You answer my question directly.
No,
Sabi
sir.
mo, there were requests from dialysis centers. Tama ba ako?
Yes, sir.
O ang ibig mo bang sabihin, bago kayo nag-executive meeting para pag-usapan ang IRM sa COVID, alam na ng mga dialysis centers na kayo ay magkakaroon ng IRM?
No, Mr. Chair.
O kaya nga, paano nga nag-request? Kailan yung request nila?
Yes, sir.
Before or after?
There were requests after, sir. but-
Okay, there were requests. Number one, sino-sino mga dialysis centers ang nag-request? Roll on the road.
We will, sir, provide you with.
O
the
wala kang
copies, sir.
maalala kahit isa?
Sir, because the requests are not direct. The requests, sir, are not directed to me. It's directed to the management.
Ulit.
The requests are not directed to me. It's directed to the management. So I will have
Oh,
to check all
to
those.
direct. Kasi nag-uusap-usap kayo, sasabihin, no,
Point of order lang, Mr.
Dr.
Chairman.
Boying,
With the permission.
may nag-request na dialysis center na isama natin sa IRM. Sino yun?
Okay,
Sir-
please check your data now before you answer. Honorable Boying, you have point
Mr.
of order?
Chairman, si Mr. Pargas, I think is nahihirapan tayo maintindihan siya. Pwede ba hubarin niyo yung maskara niyo pag nagsasalita kayo para mas madali ho kayo maintindihan?
And at the same time, Mr. Chairman, I would like to be clarified. Kasi kanina sinabi ni Mr. Pargas, according dun sa procedure ng pagkuha ng IRM, sinasabi nyo na signatory kayo doon. At lahat ng mga request ng bawat HCI dumadaan sa inyo bilang policy sector head. Now,
Yes, Mr.
ngayon,
Chair.
why can't you answer directly the question of Congressman Barsaga? Samantalang kanina, binanggit mo na lahat ng mga request dumadaan sa inyo.
Okay, before you reply, paglilinaw lang po doon sa ating mga kababayan, yung point ni Honorable Barsaga ay hindi para ihinto ang dialysis. Walang problema yun. Dire-diretso pa rin ang dialysis natin. Ang pinopoint out ni Congressman Barsaga, bakit nakasama sa IRM, yung Interim Reimbursement Mechanism, na ang pinupunto nito ay COVID. So just so that yung mga nanonood po, no, baka nagkakagulo sila, hindi ho. Tuloy po yung mga programa na yan, maternity, dialysis, may mga sakit. Yun lang IRM na pang-COVID, yan po ang dapat nilaanan ng pondo. Go ahead, Dr. Pargas.
Again, the intent of the IRM is really not only for COVID cases, but really because of the effect of the pandemic. That's why po kasama yung ating mga dialysis and even the maternities. Tapos po, there were letters and our attorney is
So
looking
sino
for
nga
that
daw
right
nag-request sa inyo? Yun ang tanong niya. During the course of the discussion, may nag-request. Isa lang. Sino yung nag-request na healthcare facility?
Did Bron Avitum request for IRM?
I'm not so sure po because the BBRON is an accredited facility. So
Hindi nga, yes or no lang yun eh. Did they request for IRM advances?
they have a letter of intent.
Oh, yun. Meron pala, may request.
Okay,
You
una
approve
muna.
it, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chair, you approve it as well because dumaan sa inyo to according sa inyong policy.
Okay. Just to put order, our colleagues here.
Una-una.
Congressman Barsaga, we will not take away the time that we interjected.
Okay. Ang sinasabi natin, sige, magkwentuhan muna kayo. Dr. Bragas, are you ready to answer?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, simple lang tayo. Lagi niyong ginigiit sa publiko at sa amin at sa lahat ng investigasyon, yung IRM is intended for a fortuitous event. Tama ba ako o hindi?
Tama po.
Okay. Pag COVID, March pa lamang, sinabi niyo na, and we agree that that will be a case of fortuitous event. Yes or no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Pero yung dialysis na ginagawa na natin ng napakahabang panahon, that is no longer a fortuitous event. Tama ba ako?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Okay, next question. Kahit na hindi fortuitous event ang dialysis, sinama nyo sa IRM. Tama o hindi?
Tama po.
Tama. Kaya ang tanong ko, sino ang nag-propose among the executive members na kinoconceptualize nyo ang COVID na isama natin ang dialysis centers? O wala? Oh, you better answer. You are all under oath.
No, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chairman, ano yun natin? Isa-isa yun
Tanong ko,
natin.
may nag-propose ba o wala?
Dr. Pargas, kindly reply.
no, sir, iniisip ko lang po. Because again, it was
Hindi nga, ang
discussed in
tanong na lamang sa iyo, direct. Kung hindi mo alam, pasensya na kayo, nalimutan ko. So, itatanong na namin yan sa iba.
Mr. Chair, I cannot.
You cannot recall.
O lahat ng SVP, tanongin natin.
Okay, before you
Not
recall,
the SVP.
Honorable Barsaga, kaya po sila nalilito talaga kasi mismo yung letter kay Mr. Morales is on IRM relative to the proposal to implement interim reimbursement mechanism due to COVID-19 public health emergency. The same is within the mandate of PhilHealth to implement such as what was done after Yolanda, Super Typhoon, and Marawi siege. Again, the declaration, the details of the IRM should be laid down again for COVID-19. So I guess kaya po nagkakagulo-gulo yung pinipilit natin na hindi lang dito sa ibang sakit, but in all your official letters indicated lahat ng COVID-19.
So, wala, you cannot recall. Ano, hindi mo ma-recall?
Sir, I'm
Okay, baka naman pag tinanong ko yung ibang member ng executive committee, ang sasabihin, Dr. Bragas was the one who proposed that.
Mr. Chair,
Hindi,
again,
kaya nga tinatanong ko lamang, can you recall? Ikaw ba nag-propose o hindi?
it was part of our computation, sir, for all
Hindi, wag na
accredited
muna tayo
facilities.
mag-compute.
Yes.
Ang pinapaliwanag lang natin, ano ba ang mga sickness na dapat nating isama sa IRM for COVID? Agreed tayo sa COVID. Your purpose is very laudable, tinatanggap yan ng ating mga kababayan. Ang tinatanong nga lang ng karamihan, bakit kasama ang dialysis? Hindi naman to fortuitous event. So sino nag-propose na isama dialysis centers?
Honorable Barsaga, your last question.
Okay. Attorney Santiago, you are a lawyer. Under your lawyer's oath, meron bang nag-propose?
Sir, Mr. Chairman, I don't remember kung sino nag-propose, but
Hindi mo, you cannot remember. What
that-
about
that can be taken from the minutes of the meeting, so that can be
baka naman
checked.
wala sa minutes of the meetings yan.
Ayun, sir, yung ang understanding ko, Mr. Chairman, dun sa discussion is that the intention of the board
No, wag na
is-
yung intention. We know your intention. That is good. Ang tanong lamang, bakit sinama ang dialysis? Sino nag-propose?
Sir, I don't remember kung sino nag-propose,
Oh.
but based on my understanding,
What
the-
about Limsiaco? Is he here? Oh, Limsiaco. Oh. Hindi mo rin maalala kung sino ang nag-propose na isama dialysis center?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, part of the proposal ng ating
Simple
HCPS,
lang ang tanong ko. Sino ang nag-propose? Not part of the proposal. Sino ang nag-propose na isama dialysis center?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang proposal po ay nanggagaling as mentioned kanina ni Dr. Pargas ay nasa
So
kanilang
sa madaling
opisina po.
sabi, nanggaling kay Dr. Pargas. Do you admit that, Dr. Pargas, that the proposal came from you?
Sir, during the discussion, we were asked because the part of those who can receive the IRM are all accredited
Hindi nga,
facilities.
simple na.
And so
Okay,
all of the
Iisa lamang ang tanong. Sino
sir.
nag-propose?
Honorable Barsaga, Dr. Pargas, ito po yung inyong board meeting March 30. Ang sabi ni BM
Was
Mercado,
prior, Mr. Chairman.
yes.
Because the circular of Dr. Morales was issued as early as March 20. Tama ba?
Yes, Mr.
Oh, so subsequent na yan. Ibig kong sabihin, meron ng circular si President Morales as early as March 20. At now March 20, alam nyo na isasama nyo ang dialysis centers.
Yes,
Tama
Mr.
ba?
Chair.
Kaya nga sino nag-propose?
Sir, we did. The HFPS proposed for
Who?
all the accredited. I
Health
was
policy.
part of the EXICOM, yes, sir.
dialysis ikaw. Oh, what about the lying in?
Lahat, sir.
Ikaw rin ang nag-propose. Okay.
Honorable Barsaga, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just a moment.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll have my presentation about the dialysis centers. Miss,
With the indulgence of the committee, we will just allow the presentation of the Honorable Barsaga before we proceed to the next interpellator.
saka yung summary lang. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Ayan ang lahat yung dialysis centers na inyong binigyan. Ang tanong ko, bakit merong mga dialysis centers na binigyan kahit merong asunto. Dr. Dr. ano? Meron bang mga dialysis centers na binigyan kahit may pending case sa PhilHealth?
May pending case, yes, sir.
Binigyan. Bakit niyo binigyan?
Uh,
Kahit na may kaso.
Actually, we asked that also, sir,
Huh?
but the decision was because it is without prejudice to any of the legal actions that will be taken to against these facilities.
Kaso
And
mo,
I think-
yan nga ang lagi natin problema eh. Babalikan kita. Lying in. Nagbigay din kayo sa lying in. Sino nag-propose? Ikaw. Okay. You know that the policy of DOH, alam mo na ang policy ng DOH sa mga LGUs ay magtayo ng maraming lying in centers to be operated by the local government unit. Do you know that? Yes or no?
I'm not, sir.
You're not aware? O sino ang nakakaalam dito na ang policy ng DOH ay magtayo ng mga lying in ang mga LGU under your so-called primary care benefit program? Hindi mo alam yon?
Mr. Chair, yes, there are orders, yes.
Matter of fact, pag nanganak sa lying in, ang binabayad nyo, case rate, 8,000 pesos.
Yet,
Okay. But in a private or public hospital, pag doon nanganak, ang binabayad nyo ay 6,000 pesos.
kapag ka po sa ospital, it's at 6,500. Kapag mga
1,500,
kapag ka po mga lying in, it's at 8,000.
8,000. Bakit mas malaki sa lying in?
Kasama po kasi sa prinsipyo nung inilabas yung case rate na yun pong mga cases katulad ng panganganak na normal delivery ay hindi na magpunta sa mga ospital sapagkat ito naman po ay kakayanin nga sa mga lying in.
Question.
Honorable Barsaga? Yes.
Das Marine, sa lying in, nagbigay kayo sa private? IRM?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
both for government and private.
Bakit sa mga public lying in, di kayo nagbigay ng IRM? Sa mga LGUs na may mga lying in? Pero sa private, nagbigay kayo sa lying in?
Mr. Chair, again, all these are open to all accredited and those who will apply.
Pero wag mo sabihin yung accreditation. You are not telling us the truth. Yun namang lying in na sinasabi kong under your primary care package, lahat yun accredited ng PhilHealth. Totoo ba o hindi? You better answer your questions correctly. I was a mayor for 12 years. We operate a public hospital. Kaya nga sa public hospital, lagi sinasabi sa akin, kung PD, no balance billing tayo, no out of the pocket expense. Bakit ka ko? Kasi kung babiolate natin yan, tatanggalin ang ating PhilHealth accreditation. We cannot collect from PhilHealth. Pagkatapos makikita ko ngayon, ganyan pala ang nangyayari sa inyo. And these are public funds.
Mr. Chair, we have separate accreditation po.
Oo nga, pero
yes.
hindi mo na naman tinasagot eh. Premise, nagbigay kayo ng IRM sa private lying-in centers.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh yes. Kailangan ang tulong. Mga public lying-in, hindi kayo nagbigay ng IRM.
To all accredited lying in as long as they applied.
Nasa report niyo ba sa amin na nagbigay kayo ng lying-in? Wala sa inyong report. Pati na sa inyong website. Nilagay niyo sa website niyo kung alin ang binigay niyo ng IRM. Lahat ng data kinuha ko sa inyong website. Meron ba daong public lying-in under your present oath?
Mr. Chair,
Honorable Barsaga, you want to wind up?
Is a pending question.
The pending question is kung meron po kayong mga lying in na binigyan na public
Mr. Chair, I will have to check our data po.
Mr. Chairman, we have the list eh. We have the
Okay.
list on the 100, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we have the list of 711 HCIs. At doon sa listahan po ng 711 na pinalabas nyo sa business sa mga dyaryo, wala po ang mga lying in, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Barsaga?
No, meron silang private lying in na binigyan.
Yes. Sa public, wala nga daw po.
Public, wala.
Aha.
Meron, wala. Sa public. So, regarding these two issues, you present in writing, next scheduled hearing, paano ba napasama ang dialysis centers? Sino nag-propose? Sino nag-provide? Etc. Bakit sinama kahit na merong mga cases? Sino nag-propose para isama ang mga private lying in? Although both of them do not cater to COVID. At pangatlo, bakit hindi sinama ang public lying in? Kung private, pwede tayong magbigay ng IRM, bakit sa public hindi? Na lying in. Maraming LGUs ang merong accredited lying in by PhilHealth. They are receiving the primary care package. Kaya wag niyo sabihin na hindi accredited. Accredited sila. I know that for a fact as a former mayor. No, just summing up regarding my initial presentation, PowerPoint presentation, which is very material. Miss, very short lang naman to, Mr. Chairman. In 2017, I'm just saying, itong during the presidency of President Duterte. Dr. Dineros was appointed as interim PhilHealth President and Chief Executive Officer. 1 month after, the then Secretary Obial withdrew the appointment of Dr. Dineros. At ano ang sabi ni Secretary Obial? Wini-withdraw niya sapagkat si Dr. Dineros ay nag-transfer or nag-reassign ng senior health officials. At ang sabi niya ni Dr. Dineros naman, he directed the reassignment in accordance to the declaration of President Duterte on zero tolerance, graft, and corruption. 1 month after, pagkatapos ang inappoint ay si Dr. De La Serna. Pero pagkalipas lamang ng ilang buwan, Dr. De La Serna appointment was terminated by President Duterte, being accused of costly trips while PhilHealth was incurring billions in losses. Ang losses ng PhilHealth 2018 ay umabot ng 892 billion, although in 2016, it was only 251 million. I'll stop the presentation because our resource persons cannot listen, especially the one. Sa pagkakaalis si Dr. De La Serna, newspaper accounts stated, PhilHealth officials and employees rejoice on the dismissal of De La Serna since they demanded her ouster due to alleged corruption and mismanagement. Ang sumunod naman, si Dr. Roy Ferrer. He was appointed on June 5. On October 31, 2018, 12 empleyado ng PhilHealth ang nag-file ng complaint against Dr. Ferrer. June 10, 2019, after 1 year, inappoint naman ng ating Pangulo si General Ricardo Morales. Retired General Morales viewed this designation as both a challenge and an honor for being singled out by President Duterte to fix the organization and eliminate corruption. At the crucial period when universal healthcare law was to be launched, he was confident that PhilHealth will quickly regain the public trust and confidence. Unfortunately, after 1 year, on account of the ongoing House and Senate investigations and the investigation of various agencies such as the DOJ and the Presidential Task Force Against Corruption on the irregularities in PhilHealth, General Morales stated on August 12 that even Superman might not be able to handle the problems of PhilHealth. Ang sabi niya, kahit si Superman, popuin mo dito, baka hindi niya makaya. All of us here in Congress are sympathizing with General Morales. Isang taon lamang siya sa PhilHealth at nakita niya na hindi ganoong kadaling resolbahin ang issue ng graft and corruption sa PhilHealth. What is force? Alam niyo naman sa PhilHealth, ito ang nagbabayad sa mga health needs ng ating mga kababayan at milyong-milyong mga kababayan natin ang nagko-contribute dito, including our OFWs. Kaya naman kami dito sa Kongreso ay tinutulungan namin si General Morales, yung mga taga-PhilHealth na maayos, pati na ang kawani para mailabas ang mga korupsyon at nang sa ganon makatulong kami sa pag-aayos ng PhilHealth. Kung medyo nagtatampo kayo sa aming line of questioning, this we have to do in order that PhilHealth will regain the trust of the public. At kinakailangan mayroong mapailan ng asunto. As much as possible, plunder if there would be evidence that would be warranted. By the way, before I adjourn, I was watching Attorney Del Rosario during the Senate investigation last Tuesday. Unfortunately, his name was alluded to as part of the mafia in the Senate investigation. Tama po ba yon, Dr. Del Rosario? And you even stated that you are willing to tell everything if there would be an executive session. Tama ba?
Please,
So kung sakaling dumating ang
Honorable Barsaga,
pagkakataon,
can you kindly reply, Attorney De Rosario, for the record lang po, marinig yung boses niyo.
That is correct, Your Honor.
kung
Thank you, Mr.
sakaling magpasya ang committee ito with the blessing of Chairman Defensor, will you be willing to participate in an executive session?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor.
So we take advantage of his presence. Before tayo mag-adjourn or before mag-lunch, magkaroon na tayo ng executive session with Attorney Del Rosario. Sinabi nga niya, sinachat siya, pagkatapos nag-leave of absence ka ng 5 months.
That is correct, Your Honor.
That's correct because those were all your statements na nakita ko nung nire-replay ko ang hearing sa Senado.
Is that a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I move.
If that
Before
is a
we
motion,
elect-
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
Okay, at the proper time, we will decide when we will conduct a executive session on this today. Yes, today we will do that. As to what time?
Pakatubas na naman ang high blood ni Attorney Del Rosario bukas or the following days.
Yes, Honorable Barsaga. Anyway, there's a motion duly seconded. We will do that. I just want to clarify that earlier on, or last week, ang akala po natin, umaga lang tayo hanggang 2:00. Pero ngayon po, pwede naman tayo magtuloy hanggang mamaya. So let's schedule the executive session. We will continue with this, with our interpellation now. At mamaya po, kausapin din natin yung mga nasa Zoom so that they can be part of the executive committee hearing. So with that, Honorable Barsaga, thank you for that. And definitely, we thank you
I
for...
wish to be listed as the number 2 in the second round.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Second.
So, before we proceed, gusto ko lang po ulit iklaro, yung po bang sa Philippine Red Cross, tapos na po ba? Kasi I understand, nagwi-withdraw po sila dahil hindi sila nababayaran ng 700 million. Can someone from finance answer? Who will be the one in charge of the payment to the Philippine Red Cross? Ito yung mga testing po natin. Mr. Limsiaco, ikaw po ba yan ang magsasagot?
Mr. Chair, Your
Yes,
Honor,
go ahead.
I think VP Abado is with us today, who can provide us with the explanation on the case of Red Cross po.
Sige po. Kindly take the seat. Comsec, have we taken the oath of everyone here? Okay, sige po. Go ahead, please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. On the issue of PRC, we have already paid last Tuesday around 123 million. However, they submitted a new list of billing since Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that is the claim for the 714 million.
Pero hindi naman po sila huminto dun sa kanilang testing.
Hindi naman, sir. Hindi naman, sir.
Okay, thank you
So
for
far,
that.
yung kwan, kare-receive pa lang kasi namin so that we cannot also process immediately while it was just submitted just 3-4 days ago.
Understood. So thank you for your reply.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, sir.
Yes, Honorable
Since we
Anomalya.
are talking about testing, no? Pwede bang itanong ko ulit yung tanong ko sa PhilHealth? Can they make a policy na 48 hours lang dapat ibigay na resulta ng test? Kung hindi, wag na bayaran.
Are you asking Red Cross or PhilHealth?
I'm asking PhilHealth, Mr. Chairman. 48 hours dapat may resulta na ang test. Kung hindi, wag nyo nang bayaran. Kasi nasasayang lang ang pera ng taong bayan kung they take their time with the test. Tapos hindi naman real time binibigay, the person will get out of quarantine. Pag after 5 days, aalis na sa quarantine yan.
Can you look into that? Would that be in your
Alam niyo na yan, ba, Mr. Pargas, di ba? You're a
Pargas.
doctor, no?
Yes.
Yung test, pag hindi nabigay yung resulta, wala nang visa yun. Bali, wala na. Kumikita sila ngayon ng perang they don't deserve anymore. Pag hindi nabigay yung resulta, dapat wala nang bayaran. 48 hours.
Sa natatandaan ko po, tinanongin na yan ni Honorable Remulla, if you can give us the policy later on. During his time, he will be asking the questions. Later on, if you can give him that the reply to his question. So now we proceed to the Honorable Paul Dasa. Honorable Dasa is recognized. Okay, so the Honorable Dasa is not in Zoom. We will ask him later. The Honorable BH Herrera D is recognized. Congresswoman BH, are you there? Okay, go ahead, Congresswoman BH. Congresswoman BH, kindly unmute.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang din, well, mag-executive session yata kayo as called for by Congressman Barzaga. But gusto ko lang kasing medyo linawin, medyo related naman to dun sa question ni Cong B.D. Barzaga kanina, is that yung premise ng IRM is with regards to, yun nga, calamities and all that. So, hindi pa rin malinaw sa akin how it came about or ano ang legal basis para isama yung mga dialysis centers tsaka lying-in. Kasama ba to sa executive session nila sasagutin? Kasi gusto ko lang malaman ano yung tinutungtungang basehan kung bakit pwedeng isama ang lying-in tsaka dialysis center doon sa IRM regulation.
Dr. Pargas, kindly reply.
Mr. Chair, Madam Congresswoman, again, because our IRM, especially for this one, is on the pandemic. Yun pong pagbibigay ng IRM is not only for COVID cases but for all cases that are affected with this pandemic. Kaya po, even po doon sa part po ng liquidation ng IRM, it is not just for claims ng COVID but for all cases that were actually treated or admitted in a certain facility during this time of pandemic. Again, ang pinanggagalingan po namin dito is yung pong COVID, yung pong kabuuan ng operasyon ng isang ospital ay maaapektuhan ng COVID cases. Kung kaya po lahat po ng pagkakasakit, including the dialysis and even the maternities that should not be going to the hospital right now because of the COVID, maaapektuhan din po. So again, the IRM po is because of the result of the pandemic, not only because of COVID cases.
So parang sinasabi mo, dahil yung kinoconsider na emergency or disaster na situation is the COVID, so lahat ng pwedeng pumasok dito at lahat ng pwedeng mag-apply, pwede yung i-entertain.
Lahat po nung pwedeng maapektuhan noon pong pagkakaroon ng COVID, so hindi lang po ito hindi lang po yung sakit na COVID yung kino-cover nung ating IRM, kundi lahat po nung maaaring maapektuhan pagdating po sa operasyon ng isang ospital. And yun pong operasyon ng isang ospital, hindi lang naman po COVID yung pong kanilang gagamutin during the time of pandemic, but all other cases.
Pero kasi,
po yung dialysis and, sorry, Mr. Chair.
well, anyway, through you, Mr. Chair, parang ang nakikita ko lang kasi is, kaya din natin minadali na magkaroon ng IRM is because to help the hospitals cope with the COVID situation. Diba? Katulad nga na sinasabi natin, kung yung mga dialysis centers naman, naniningil sila, tapos tumatanggi sila sa COVID patients para i-dialysis. So parang hindi nakatulong yung IRM dun sa mga ospital in this time of pandemic. That's why I agree with Kong PD Barsaga. We want to know answers to that question. Kung bakit nauna pa silang bigyan ng pera kesa dun sa mga, it's not a matter of, ito po yung naunang nag-submit, ito po yung unang nag-comply eh. Ang PhilHealth dapat, alam nyo kung sino yung mga dapat ninyong unahing ospital na higit na nangangailangan because of this situation. Kaya siguro I'll also wait for that executive session because I'm really interested to find out regarding that. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. May sasagot daw po si VP Limsiaco. Go ahead, VP Limsiaco.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. In addition sa explanation ni Dr. Pargas, makita sa datos ng pagbayad ni PhilHealth that by January nasa 10.1 billion, February nasa 10.6 or 10.7 billion. March po, dito po nag-umpisa na po, bumaba na siya, 8.9 billion po. Ang sunod po, pagdating ng April, nasa 4.3 billion po. And then May, nasa 5 billion po. And June, nasa 5.2 billion o 5.3 billion po. Ito po yung regular na claims na pinaprocess at saka binabayad po ni PhilHealth. Makita po dito that pababa po ang pagbayad ni PhilHealth ng benefit claims dahil po apektado din po yung ating regional offices dahil po nag-slow down din po ang ating pag-process. Kaya po hindi lamang po yung mga malalaking hospital kundi lahat po ng mga facilities sa datos na ito ay apektado po ng COVID-19 po dahil sa pagbaba ng pagbayad ni PhilHealth sa kanila. Now, doon naman po sa pag-prioritize ng hospital po ay makikita natin po sa datos po that 50% ng nai-release ni PhilHealth na IRM ay pumunta po sa level 3 hospital, 29% po or 4.3 billion pesos ay pumunta sa level 2 hospital, and level 1 po ay nasa 18% po or 2.7 billion po, Your Honor.
Honorable BH.
Yes, thank you for that. Pero yung explanation mo, mas lalo nga akong nangihina na bakit meron pa rin mga malalakas na private institution na tila ang nabigyan nyo pa rin ng priority despite the fact na pababa ang releases ninyo, na igawa pa rin nating isingit yung mga, of course, dialysis is very important. Kaya lang these are private facilities na naniningil eh. Kaya nababahala ako na bakit inuna natin yung private facilities na hindi naman libre ang dialysis nila. 'Di ba? So ibig sabihin yung nagpupunta doon kahit papano ay may kaya. So yun lang ang aking isang gustong i-point out, but we can discuss it for another matter kasi meron na akong gustong tutukan ngayon. Nabanggit na kanina ni Chairman Mike Defensor yung tungkol sa Red Cross. So that's very important na mabayaran natin sila. Ngayon, I'm alarmed with the new joint memorandum na in-issue ng DOLE, ng DTI, at saka ng DOH with regards to mandatory PCR testing for the employees. Are you aware of this already? Is PhilHealth aware of this memorandum? Mr. Chair?
Kindly reply, PhilHealth. I would think SVP De Jesus would be the one to reply on that.
Magandang umaga po, Mr.
Magandang
Chair.
umaga po.
Sa akin punto pa lamang po, ako po hindi aware of that. I will ask my colleagues kung mayroong, kasi kung pamarapatin po ninyo ako magdagdag ng konting paliwanag, ang normally po kapag may gustong ipagawa sa PhilHealth ang DOH, yun doon po nanggagaling ang aming mandato so that maihanda po namin kung ano yung pondong kakailanganin para sa particular program. Binibigyan po kami ng DOH ng panahon para maglagay ng polisidad diyan sa kung may bagong programa. Yun lang po ang kaya kong sagutin sa ngayon.
Ano po yun? Hindi, ang tanong ko lang po, aware po ba kayo dito sa bago? Kasi kasama rin naman po kayo doon sa agreement na ito.
Ulitin ko lang po, personally po, hindi ko po pa nakita ang dokumentong yan. Mayroon po akong idea dati na pinag-uusapan ang agreement among those government agencies including I think Philippine Red Cross, if I'm not mistaken. Yun lang po ang naaalala ko pero hindi ko po masasagot yung particular na katanungan ninyong yan, Mr. Chair and Madam Congresswoman.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, kasi yung direction natin nito is paano mangyayari kung sasabihin ng DTI and DOLE na mandated na ang PCR testing at least once every quarter sa kanilang mga empleyado. Diba? At ang sasagot daw nito ay PhilHealth. Can PhilHealth accommodate this? Dahil syempre, contributors ng PhilHealth ang mga empleyado ng private companies. Mr. Chair?
Yes, PhilHealth.
Pakiulit nga lang po yung tanong mismo dun sa particular na issue on the testing. Kasi po, uulitin ko lamang po, ang mandato po namin ay bayaran ang mga packages na aprobado ng Department of Health. Kung mayroon pong ganon, ibababa po sa amin yan at gagawaan po namin ng kaukulang polisidad. And if I ask my colleague here on my left, wala naman yata siya pang nagagawa na polisidad about the more expanded testing to include the employees. Kami po ay nakahanda na magbayad ayon sa ipinag-uutos po ng Department of Health, ayon din po sa mga packages ng aming korporasyon. Yun lang po ang kaya kong sagutin sa ngayon sa inyo.
Mr. Chair, para lang so maliwanagan ko yung proseso. Kunwari yan, sinasabi niya, packages. So ito, bagong bagong mandato ng DTI at DOLE na dapat magpa-test ang mga empleyado na mga miyembro naman ng PhilHealth. So paano ba ang sistema dito? Mag-a-accredit ang PhilHealth ng mga testing centers para yun ang magiging accredited na bayaran nila. Paano ang normal sistema o proseso? Kunwari, bumaba ang order sa kanila. O, PhilHealth, kailangan yung bayaran yung mga packages ng mga employees as per joint memorandum circular of DOLE and DTI and DOH, ganyan. Ano yan? Ia-accredit nyo pa ba ang mga testing centers na ito? Kasi yun ang gusto kong malaman dahil kung i-accredit nyo, sana may ceiling din sa presyo at katulad ng sinasabi ni Kong Boying, sana meron ding ceiling sa time, the number of days it takes for the results to be released bago nyo bayaran.
Yung masasagot ko po dyan sa accreditation, ang mga accreditation po ay iginagawa ng RITM. Sila po ang nagbibigay ng pahintulot sa mga testing laboratories. At kapag sila po ay na-accredit na, maaari pong lumapit sa amin ang mga labs na yan para mabayaran po namin yung mga sinasabi namin kanina na pakete o packages ng in this particular case ay yung pong testing. Doon naman po sa suggestion kanina, kami po ay nakikinig ng team sa mga suggestions at kami po ay naniniwala sa wisdom ng collective body ng ating mga legislador at kami po ay handang mag-revoke, mag-revise at mag-suspinde ng kung anumang programa para po sa ikabubuti ng mga programa na gustong ipatupad ninyo para sa mga kababayan natin ng PhilHealth.
Thank you for that, no, VP. Through you again, Mr. Chair. Ang tanong ko, so ibig sabihin, hindi na magpapa-accredit ng bago sa inyo. Basta accredited ng FDA or ng RITM, yung Testing Facility Center, automatic, they can claim sa PhilHealth. Tama po ba yun? Wala nang panibagong accreditation sa PhilHealth.
Mr. Chair, Madam Congressman, ang accreditation po ay paglilisensya sa testing laboratory. Yan po ay ibig sabihin lang sila po ay pinapayagan na mag-conduct ng test. Ang sa amin po ay inaantay po
Mr. Chair, ang tinatanong ko, paano yung accreditation para sila?
Madam Congresswoman, Mr. Chair, ang DOH protocol po ang nag-i-establish ng kung sinong individual ang dapat na bayaran ang testing. So kung ang isang individual po ay pumasa sa sa proseso at protocol na in-establish ng Department of Health, siya po ay naturally mababayaran. Hindi siya directly, pero yung pasilidad na ginamit ay mababayaran po, marireimburse. Doc Ish, baka meron ka pang gustong idagdag?
Mr. Chair, Madam Congresswoman.
Go ahead.
Yes po, we do accredit all the testing laboratories before we can actually pay for them. So ang proseso po, kailangang malisensyahan muna siya ng RITM or certified by the RITM and DOH license. Although automatically po we consider them as accredited, they have to submit several documents to PhilHealth. One po is the DOH certification or license that they are accredited for the SARS-CoV-2. Second is the profile, data profile of the facility. Second po is third po is the performance commitment. And fourth po is their bank accounts for the payment. And at the same time po, yung question nyo kanina, yes, we only pay po for certain packages. So meron po tayong amount na babayadan lamang naka-maximum po yon, and according to our policy, dapat po siya ay no copay.
Sorry, anong last word? No, ano?
Dapat po siya ay
Anong last term, no?
no copay po. Ibig sabihin,
Okay.
dapat
So,
wala pabayadan in excess.
so dapat no copay. So, ibig sabihin, you can also, before you accredit them, pwede kang maglagay ng ceiling sa presyo ng sinisingil ng isang testing facility.
Yun, Mr. Chair, yun pong ating pakete sa ngayon is 3,409 kung lahat po ng serbisyo ay ibinibigay. Kung donated naman po ang test kits, it's at 2,077. At kung donated po ang test kits and lahat ng serbisyo ay kasama sa budget, normally in the government, it's around 900 plus po. So yun po yung maximum ceiling po. Yun po yung package na binabayad natin.
So, hindi nyo i-accredit ang isang institution kung ang singil nila is higher than this one. If the private if a patient will have to pay, kunwari, ang singil nila 10,000. So, hindi nyo sila babayaran kasi hindi sila, dahil magkukopay ang isang patient. Is that right?
Mr. Chair, kasama po kasi dun sa performance commitment na sasignan noong facility na isasubmit sa atin na sila ay susunod sa ating mga patakaran, sa rules and regulations. So kasama po yun doon sa signed performance commitment.
So, ibig sabihin, this will now bring down the cost of the PCR testing na kaparehas ng kung ano ang sinisingil ng Red Cross. Tama po ba? If they want to be accredited sa PhilHealth.
Pakiulit lang po. Sorry po, Madam Congresswoman.
Honorable BH,
So,
do you wrap up?
Yeah. So, ibig sabihin, pag sumali sila dun sa programa, they'd have to comply with the pricing of PhilHealth. Tama?
Yes po. Dapat po. So, kung meron po...
Sorry, hindi, ano po yun?
Mr. Chair, yes po. Dapat po kung ano po yung ating binabayadan or kung ano po yung ating nasa polisiya, yun po dapat yung gagawin. At ang nakalagay po doon sa ngayon, it is no copay.
Meron na po bang accredited na mga ibang testing facilities with PhilHealth aside from Red Cross?
Mr. Chair, we have around 98, I think po, sa pahuli kong pagkakaalam, around 98 SARS-CoV testing laboratories na currently accredited with PhilHealth.
I can't, wala po akong marinig. Ano yun?
I think around 98 po.
Can you please check and report to the committee? And then yung next question ko nga, kaya ba ng PhilHealth ito? Sa pera ng PhilHealth, sa sitwasyon ng PhilHealth,
Mr. Chair, I think our actuary will have to do the numbers game, especially po dun sa nabanggit nyo na bago, na meron pong bagong memorandum na kailangan din po naming makita para po ma-review din namin yung ating funds, kung fund sustainability po.
Thank you, Dr. Vargas. Nawala po ata si Honorable BH. Anyway, that was her last question. We still have a second round. The next interpellator is the Honorable Congressman Ted Haresco. Congressman Haresco. Okay, the Honorable Haresco is now in the BICAM on the Bayanihan Part 2. We now proceed to the Honorable Ron Salo. Congressman Salo.
Yes, Chairman. Magandang umaga po.
Yes, go ahead.
Maraming salamat po, Chairman. So, tanungin ko po si Dr. Vargas po ba yun, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair.
Okay. Maraming salamat po. So, yung tatanungin ko muna doon sa case rate na binabanggit na pinag-usapan ng nakaraan na matagal, sapagkat binabasa ko po lahat po ng mga binayaran po ng PhilHealth, lumalabas doon sa health claims, sa claims po na ng mga establishments or health facilities, lumalabas ang number one na binabayaran po ninyo ay sa pneumonia. Tama ba yon? Ever since. Nakita ko po ito from 2009 hanggang 2019, lahat po ito number one na binabayaran is pneumonia. In 2009, ang binayaran is 1.6 billion. 2010 is 2.04 billion. 2011, 2.5 billion. Sa 2012 and 2013, hindi nyo po isinulat yung data, walang data. 2014, ang binayaran po ninyo is 7.6 billion. 2015, 9.7 billion. 2016, 9.45 billion. 2017, 10.2 billion. 2018, 10.9 billion. 2019, 10.6 billion. From 2014 to 2019 alone, nagbayad ang PhilHealth ng 58.7 billion para sa pneumonia. And undisplaced po ito palaging number one. Mr. Vargas o Dr. Vargas, ilang po bang klase ng pneumonia based sa classification ng PhilHealth?
Mr. Chair, sa ngayon po ang binabayadan namin ay dalawang klase para po sa inpatient. Ito po yung pneumonia moderate type or moderate risk at saka po yung pneumonia na severe type or high risk.
So, based dito sa binabanggit po ninyo, ito yung PhilHealth Circular 2011, number 11, tama ba yon? Yun yung basis po ninyo?
Yan po yung nadudun po sa case rate na pinagsimulan noong 2011 po.
Yes. Sa pneumonia 1, moderate risk. Yun ba yung pneumonia 1, yung moderate risk, 15,000. Yung pneumonia 2, high risk is 32,000. Tama ba yon?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kung dalawa lang klase ang base doon sa case rate, pneumonia 1 at pneumonia 2, nagtataka lang ako bakit sa classification na nakasulat sa PhilHealth, dito sa summary ng medical case na binabayaran ng PhilHealth, ang classification nyo is pneumonia 3. Anong ibig sabihin po noon? Bakit may pneumonia 3?
Pneumonia 3 po?
Yes.
We only have pneumonia 1 po and pneumonia 2.
That's precisely my point, Mr. Vargas. Based sa classification ng 2015, 2016, 2017, nakasulat doon pneumonia 3. So, nagkamali lang ba yon? Error lang ba yon?
Mr. Chair, I will have to look into the data po. Babalikan po.
Sige. Pero ang napansin ko, hindi kayo consistent. Number one, consistent yung pneumonia, pero sa presentation po ninyo, sa data po ninyo, iba-iba yung tawag ninyo doon sa pneumonia. It's moderate risk, number 2, pneumonia 3, community-acquired pneumonia. Every year almost, nagbabago yung classification. Samantalang, klaro naman doon sa 2011 circular, dalawa lang yun, pneumonia 1 and pneumonia 2. So I'm just really having a hard time, or perhaps this is designed para yung mga nagmo-monitor sa PhilHealth kung ano yung mga binabayaran nila ninyo ay hindi masundan. Kasi iba-iba yung classification every year based on sa mga nakapost po sa website po ninyo, iba-iba yung binabayaran ninyo when it comes to pneumonia, but it's still pneumonia.
Yes, Mr. Chair. We will check on that po.
So please, kasi it gives us wrong impression. The fact na iba-iba yung classification nyo, iba-iba yung katawagan po ninyo, for us na nag-o-observe, bakit kailangan bagu-baguhin? Para ba hindi masundan ng mga nagbabasa ng data? Number 2 item, anong difference ng pneumonia 1 ulit at sa pneumonia 2?
Pneumonia 1 po is considered the moderate type. However, the pneumonia 2 po is considered the severe type po.
How many types po ba ng pneumonia meron?
Sa kategorya po, tatlo, we have the mild, we have the moderate, and we have the severe. However, pagdating po sa causative agent o yung nagkukos, iba-iba po. Pero sa general category po, it's the mild, the moderate, and severe. However...
Yes, maraming salamat. Ayun lang po yung tanong ko. So mild, moderate, and high risk. Ngayon, ang tanong ko, yung mild, bago po yung universal healthcare, kasi under the universal healthcare, kasama na yung outpatient, tama ba yon?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Yun lang yung gusto kong marinig. So under under universal healthcare, outpatient is hindi covered na. Pero prior to that, lahat ng mga binayaran niyo po dito, hindi covered po lamang po ng PhilHealth before kapag inpatient. Tama ba yon?
Mr. Chair, bago pa po nag-universal healthcare, meron na po kami nung tinatawag na primary care benefit package na kung saan yan po yung ating ang nagbibigay po na facilities are our accredited RHUs at saka po nung nag-expand po tayo our private clinics. So meron na po tayo ng primary care benefit package. However, ang binabanggit po sa universal healthcare, it's that dapat po ito ay komprehensibo na kung saan kami po ay, yun po ang ating pinag-aaralan ngayon at mag-launch.
Okay, maraming salamat. So ang tanong ko po ngayon, dito sa pneumonia 1 and pneumonia 2, yung pneumonia 1 na moderate risk, kaya siya binabayaran dahil ito ay kasama doon sa benefit package. Tama ba yon?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Yung mild pneumonia, kasama ba yon sa benefit package?
Ano po?
Yung mild pneumonia.
Hindi po siya kasama. Siya po ay kasama doon sa ating...
Tama, okay. So hindi siya kasama. Hindi kasama yung mild benefit, mild pneumonia, kaya walang reimbursement doon. Tama ba yon?
Doon po sa atin, bago po nagkaroon ng COVID, yun pong ating general pneumonia po na mild, wala po siya dapat sa ating binabayadan.
Okay, yes. Okay. So prior dito sa COVID, tinatanong ko prior kasi pupunta tayo doon maya-maya doon sa ngayon na may COVID. Ngayon, dito sa binabanggit po natin, hindi kasama yung mild pneumonia.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So ngayon, dito sa, hindi ba kayo nagtataka na simula 2009 hanggang 2019, lahat halos na mga number 1 na nagre-reimbursement na lahat na halos na mga hospital or dito sa data na mayroon po kayo, lahat ay moderate risk pneumonia 1. So ano yung ginagawa ninyo para i-assess kung talaga nga ba na lahat po yan ay part yan ng moderate risk? Kasi alam ko, I understand the way PhilHealth works, ma-reimburse lang po yung establishment, yung health facility, kapag moderate risk. Kapag mild risk po siya, hindi po siya covered ng benefit package. So ano yung ginagawa ninyo para siguraduhin na simula 2000, nagsimula po kayo 2009 na may data hanggang 2019, hindi na nagbago. So ibig sabihin po ba nito, lahat tayo, halos lahat ng mga tao pupunta ng ospital, palaging moderate risk pneumonia po sila?
Mr. Chair, ang pneumonia po, gaya nga po ng nabanggit nyo, ito ay patuloy na tumataas at actually number 1 nga po namin. Siya po ay isa sa mga claims na dumadaan sa atin pong medical prepayment review para nga po ma-check natin kung ito pong mga pneumonia na kiniklaim sa atin ay pumapasok po doon sa admissibility criteria ng pagiging moderate pneumonia or severe pneumonia. Dumadaan po siya, lahat po ng pneumonia at ito po ay ginagawa ng ating mga medical evaluators. Pagkatapos po, kung merong mga findings po dito, halimbawa po nakikita natin as part of, parang sa tingin natin, maaaring ito'y upcasing or maaaring ito'y hindi pneumonia, ito po ay fino-forward natin. Una, kung ito po ay may quality issue, ay ito po ay binabalik natin. Pangalawa
okay,
po,
thank you very much. Dito sa cases na ito lumalabas, mula 2014, 533,000, patas ng patas, 737,659 claims on moderate risk. Ilan na po yung nakita po ninyo dito na merong klase, may concern kayo na possibly hindi siya dapat kinlaim as moderate risk pneumonia?
Mr. Chair, we will provide you po with the data on our monitoring.
Okay. So ang tanong ko po kasi dito, Mr. Chair, possible kaya na dahil yung isang kaso, kapag mild pneumonia, hindi siya makaka-claim ng benefit sa PhilHealth. Pero kapag moderate pneumonia, risk pneumonia, makakapag-claim po sila ng 15,000 pesos. So what determines, Ano yung ginagawa natin na paraan para i-determine kung talagang tama yung diagnosis na ginawa po ng isang doktor o ng isang health facility doon sa nagpatingin na isang pasyente. Nung lumalabas dito, 737,659 claims for last year. At lahat ba yon sigurado tayo na moderate risk pneumonia yon? Or may mga instances na mild pneumonia, pero kailangang gawing moderate risk. Possible kaya yon, Mr. Vargas, na gawin siyang moderate risk yung kanyang assessment para makapag-claim sila sa PhilHealth?
Mr. Chair, posible po, kaya po ito ay dumadaan doon sa ating medical prepayment review. And kung meron po tayong nakikita na maaaring ito po, gayang nabanggit nyo, ay yung maaaring tinatawag na upcasing, ito po ay pino-forward natin sa ating legal po for their appropriate action.
So yun, hihingi po ako ng data, ilang percent ang nabusisi ninyo dito? Kung mayroon nga ba talaga? Kasi lumalabas, imagine, 15% or of your budget, 10 or to 15% of the total budget of PhilHealth goes to payment of moderate risk pneumonia. So, ang tanong natin, so may pandemya po tayo, ibig sabihin ng pneumonia even before this particular COVID. Yung COVID po natin, ilan yung affected? 106,000 pa lang. Hindi ko nilalang yun. Pero compare nyo po dito sa claims na fina-file sa inyo taon-taon, ito clear. There's really a pandemic of pneumonia in the Philippines since the time na umpisahan yung PhilHealth, na hindi lang natin nalalaman. Sapagkat lumalabas sa claim po na fina-file po sa inyo is every year, 700,000 people are getting infected with pneumonia. Hindi ba?
We shall
And
provide...
ang tanong ko doon, ano exactly yung ginagawa po ninyo para mabantayan, makita mo talaga kung tama ba yung kiniklaim ng mga medical facilities. Pagdating dito sa pneumonia po, ilan po ang binayaran po sa government hospitals? At ilan po yung binayaran po sa private? Mr. Vargas.
Mr. Chair, I will have to provide you po, wala lang po akong hawak na data ngayon.
Okay. Sige, pupunta tayo doon sa binabanggit mo po ngayon. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ilagay mo lang siguro sa mga 60-40 yan, 60 sa private. So if you're looking at about 10 billion, you're looking about 6B and 4B, more or less.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. Pero i-correlate ko po yon exactly. Ilan ba yung pumupunta ng mga pasyente sa government at saka sa private? Alin po ba, Mr. Vargas, ang mas maraming pasyente na pumupunta? Sa government o sa private in total?
Wala po akong hawak na data ngayon. However, pagdating po doon sa number of facilities na accredited po ng PhilHealth, mas marami po ang pribado kaysa sa panggobyerno. Pero para po sa numero ng mga nagpapa-check up or nagpapagamot, wala po akong hawak na data.
Yes, I know. Marami yung private in numbers. Pero pagdating po sa patients na sinerve, titingnan po kung pagbabasihan ko yung IRM na nirelease po ninyo at sinasabi po ninyo yun, based po yun doon sa claims na meron po sila, ni-reimburse po sa kanila in 2019, lumalabas po doon na sobrang laki yung public. Di ba? Sobrang laki yung pasyente, dami ng pasyente na pumunta sa public compared sa private, although mas maraming private establishments. Pero pagdating dito sa pneumonia, yun yung tanong ko, bakit hindi sila nagko-coincide? So hihingin ko yung data sa inyo, bakit hindi nagko-correlate na sobrang laki ng reimbursement pagdating po sa private vis-a-vis in the public na mga health facilities, samantalang mas marami yung patients na nagsisik sa public hospitals. Mr. Vargas? Mr. Vargas?
Mr. Chair.
So, yes, hihingi ako ng data sa inyo specifying exactly
Yes.
Sino-sino yung mga nabigyan dito yearly, oh? Lumalabas, top number 1 ever since itong pneumonia. At ano mga establishments, ano mga facilities ang binibigyan po nito?
Yes, Mr.
Nakakapag-avail.
We will provide po the data, including
And
po,
yes, and the number of patients that these particular establishments have served. Pupunta po tayo, Mr. Chair, dun sa Mr. Vargas, dun sa binabanggit niyo po ngayon dito sa related sa COVID. So, dati, dalawa lang po yung klase ng pneumonia, pneumonia 1 and 2. Dito sa case rate po ninyo sa COVID, 4 na po, tama ba?
yes, Mr. Chair.
Ano-ano mga yon?
We have the mild po, the moderate, the severe, and the critical.
Ano yung differences ng mild sa moderate? Severe and critical? Kasi hinahanap ko yung mga definitions po ninyo pero wala. So, paano natin, ano yung pag-aangklahan natin? How do we determine which is which?
Ang ginamit po nating guidelines dyan ay yun pong mga guidelines na alam naman po natin, Mr. Chair, na yung pong guidelines pagdating sa paggamutan ng COVID ay patuloy na nagbabago. Pero ang naging source po natin with regard to the guideline ay yung pong sa Philippine Society of Microbiology and Infectious Diseases during that time. Ang atin pong, para lang po doon sa mas madaling, yun pong nasa critical are those that would need actually other machines like yung pong mga ECMO and other support machines na kinakailangan para matulungan yung ating pasyente. Yung mild naman po.
Dr. Vargas?
Yes, Mr.
Yes. Yung tanong kasi ni Honorable Salo, ano yung determination ng mild sa moderate? Dalawa lang muna. Siguro ano yung difference lang? Sabi mo may microbiology guidance kayo from the RITM by yan? Dr. Vargas, saan po yung guidance nyo?
Ito po yung ating naging source, no? On the guidelines for the treatment. Pagdating po doon sa low risk, ito po yung no altered mental state of acute onset, no suspected.
No. Sino po nagbigay muna ng guidance? Anong agency?
Ito po ay, ang ginamit po nating isang source is the PSMID or the Philippine Society of Microbiology and Infectious Diseases po. Dahil po alam naman natin na during that time, yun pong COVID bilang novel disease ay wala po talagang clinical guidelines pa, wala pang mga treatment guidelines. At ito po ay hanggang ngayon ay nagbabago. So,
Okay. So sige. So from yung Philippine Society, so this is the Medical Association.
Yes, Mr.
Okay. So ano po ang difference? Ayun lang tanong ni Honorable Salo, paano naging different yung mild at saka moderate?
Po. Para po dun sa ating low risk, ito po yung mga examples. So yung po mga vital signs po niya would be less than 30 minute yung respiratory rate, yung pulse rate is less than 125, temperature po of more than 36 but less than 40, with no altered mental state of acute onset, no suspected aspiration. Chest tray would include localized infiltrates but no evidence of
Okay,
pleural
mild
effusion.
po yan, ano? The term is mild, not low risk. Mild.
Mild po.
Mild. Okay, pag moderate,
Yun naman po ay yung ang vital signs po niya are unstable na with halimbawa po ang respiratory rate is more than or equal to 13 per minute, pulse rate is more than or equal to 125, ang temperature niya po is 36 or equal to 40 degrees, ang may altered mental state of na po. May
okay, pag severe, dagdag lang ng numero.
Opo. Sa severe po, kasama po yung ating features ng moderate with severe signs of pwede na po yung sepsis or septic shock or would need other assistance po.
Honorable Salo?
Yes. Critical po ito dahil magkano ba ang i-reimburse po ng PhilHealth sa mild?
Sa mild po, 1,000 plus.
Magkano?
Sorry. Yeah.
Magkano ulit?
44,000.
4,000.
Honorable Salo, can you wrap up, please? Thank you.
Can you please give me some more, a little lang, kasi para ma-clarify ko po ito, Mr. Chair. Sa mild is 43,000, tutulong na po ako. Moderate is 143,000, severe is 333,000, critical is 784,000. So pansinin po ninyo yung laki nung differences po na i-reimburse ng PhilHealth. Pero ang tanong po doon, ano ba actually yung differences? Klaro ba yung differences ng mga diagnosis na yon? At sino yung magdedetermine ng diagnosis na yon? And number two, pero pagdating kasi sa reimbursement, sobrang laki. Kasi doon sa original, pneumonia 1 and pneumonia 2, yung mild hindi kasama dahil hindi mo kailangan ng hospitalization dito. So dito sa mild pneumonia na binabanggit po dito na covered, kailangan ba ng hospitalization dito, Mr. Vargas? Under COVID classification?
Yes. Tama po kayo. Pagdating po dito sa COVID, ito po ay isinama natin dahil unang-una, this is a novel guideline.
Tanong ko lang, simple lang. Dito sa COVID coverage, kailangan ba ng hospitalization yung mild pneumonia? O hindi siya kailangan mag-hospitalize pero makakasingil yung establishment ng 43,000?
Sa initial package po natin kasama, pero we are reviewing it po. At ang tinitingnan nga po natin ngayon, baka
hindi niyo pa sinasagot. Kailangan pa ba ng hospitalization dito sa mild pneumonia para makaklaim sila ng 43,000? O outpatient lang, nagpakita lang po sila at may symptoms sila ng COVID and they will be reimbursed 43,000?
Sa review po natin ngayon, ang ating pong recommendation ay maaari na po siyang matanggal. Yun pong ating mild sa ngayon.
Hindi niyo pa sinasagot yung tanong ko eh. Dito sa classification nyo po ngayon na 43 na mild pneumonia at 43,000. Kasi dati hindi niya kailangan na magpa-hospital yung mild pneumonia, kailangan lang po niya magpakita. Outpatient siya. So walang reimbursement. Pero dito, hindi niya kailangan magpa-hospital, magpakita lang po siya, pwede, pero babayaran po yung establishment ng 43,000. Tama ba 'yon?
Opo, doon po sa aming package po.
Okay, klaro. So hindi niya kailangan ma-hospital, magpakita lang siya simply because he's covered. Binabanggit po ninyo na pwede siyang maging COVID ay magiging 43,000 na. So ibig sabihin po ba nito, yung pneumonia 1 and pneumonia 2 under 2011 guidelines, wala na po yon pagdating sa pneumonia. Lahat po ngayon, ang classification na po natin itong coverage.
Thank you, Honorable Salo. Thank you for that.
Lang po.
Yes, Honorable Salo, we will now...
Hindi pa po nasasagot, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, hindi po nasasagot yung tanong ko.
Yes, I will allow him to reply, Honorable Salo, and then we proceed to the next interpolator. Kindly reply, Dr. Pargas.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Sa ngayon po, yung ating COVID, meron din po tayo na tinatawag na package po for isolation. Yun po yung
No. Yung tinatanong ko lang, yung previous na classification yung pneumonia 1 and pneumonia 2, wala na po ba yun? Ang sinusunod na po natin ngayon, when it comes to pneumonia, itong COVID coverage.
Mayroon pa because ito pong pneumonia po ngayon are for COVID patients.
So ibig sabihin po itong pneumonia na for coverage, kapag na-confirm lang siya na pneumonia, ay na-COVID siya, saka pa lang siya papasok po dito. Tama ba yon?
Yun pong ating circular, sumusunod din po tayo doon sa classification na may probable and suspect. So kung ang initial presentation po would be for the COVID, yan po ay kasama doon sa ating circular po on COVID cases.
So ibig sabihin po, hindi yung kailangan ma-confirm. Kasi based dito sa circular, kailangan confirm ang nakasulat po doon. So ano po ba talaga?
Mr. Chair, tatlo po yan. Meron pong suspect, probable, and confirmed. So pagka po ang pasyente ay na-manage accordingly, kung ito po ay COVID case, especially po nung mga una na wala pa po halos tayong enough or madami na testing facilities, yan po ay covered ng ating COVID cases. Pero kaya po na nabanggit natin, Ito po ay under review now, especially marami na po tayong mga testing facilities to confirm COVID cases.
Thank you, Honorable
Okay.
Salo.
Sige, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair. Can I manifest na second round po ako? At the same time, ibabanggitin ko lang po, Mr. Chair, at the rate po kasi na magre-reimburse ng 143,000, kung lahat po ng mga binigyan po nila, ni-reimburse po last time na mild, at presyo ngayon na 143,000, aabot po ng babayaran po ng ating PhilHealth 9.55 times or abot po ito ng 105 billion. So ibig sabihin po nito, para lang po dito sa pneumonia coverage, lahat po ng pondo po ng PhilHealth, pambayad lang po dito kung ganito po yung binabanggit po yung classification as was mentioned.
Thank you,
Thank you
Honorable.
very much, Mr. Chair.
So, okay, with that, we proceed, Honorable Remulla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to address my first few questions to EVP Arnal De Jesus. Sir, meron ho tayo mga level 1 hospitals na binigyan ng IRM. Are level 1 hospitals capable of handling COVID cases?
Hindi po ganun ang pagkakadesign. Kumbaga, maaari po siyang makahandle, maaari din pong hindi.
Meaning to say, pag hindi lang ubo, nahihirapan na yung tao, hindi naman kaya ng level 1 hospital yung COVID, tama?
Tama po yun. Nire-refer po siya sa level 3.
Bakit ho tayo nagbigay ng IRM sa level 1 hospitals?
Opo. Gaya po nung napaliwanag doon sa purpose po ng ating IRM, siya po ay inihanda para sa magiging epekto ng COVID sa kabuuan ng health system. Yan po ay designed para mabigyan ng pondo ang lahat ng klaseng pasilidad sa panahon na hindi pa alam kung ano po ang magiging epekto sa individual hospital
Ngayon,
o pasilidad.
Hanggang ngayon po, alam na natin ang epekto ng COVID, masasabi na natin na hindi kaya ng level 1 hospital ang COVID. Pwede ba ho natin bawiin ang binigay natin na advance sa level 1 hospitals para ibalik na yan sa pondo ng PhilHealth?
Yung pong sa katunayan po, Mr. Chair, maraming salamat po. Yung nung pong napansin na namin na ang incidence ng COVID, medyo pinalitan po namin yung polisidad at dinirekta namin ang linkage o connection doon sa mga actual cases po ng COVID.
Which is not in the level 1 hospital. Alam na natin yon. Wala sa level 1 hospital ang COVID treatment. Maliwanag po yon.
Opo.
Ngayon, Mr. De Jesus, nung ako po yung naging gobernador ng Cavite, meron po isang lumalapit sa akin na abogado, ang kanyang sinasabi, kung pwede i-manage niya o nila, ng grupo niya, yung level 1 hospitals ng aming lalawigan. At ang kanyang sinasabi, isa lang daw ang aming kailangan gawin. I-assign lang namin ang PhilHealth collection para sa hospital na yon sa kanilang management corporation. Aware ba kayo sa ganitong mga grupo?
Ang pagkakatanda...
Yes or no po? Aware ba kayo na may mga management companies na pumapasok sa government hospitals para i-manage ito at ina-assign ang kanilang PhilHealth collection?
Ay hindi ko po, wala po akong personal na knowledge diyan na kung mayroon po akong mga kasamahan dito na nakakaalam.
Sino ho kaya nakakaalam yan?
Pakiulit po, sorry po.
Sino po sa mga kasama nyo ang nakakaalam sa modus operandi ng mga management companies na pumapasok sa government hospitals?
May
Mr. Vargas, alam niyo ba yan o hindi?
Hindi po.
Wala ba sa inyong may alam sa PhilHealth na mga kumpanya na nagmamanage ng government hospitals tapos naka-assign ang PhilHealth collection ng government hospital? Mr. Limsiaco?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, hindi po. Wala po akong alam.
Sa
Mr.
legal,
Aragona?
sa legal ba? Walang
Attorney De Rosario?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a hospital in Candon, Ilocos Sur that implemented that kind of arrangement. The building is owned by the government, but the management is by the private. But when we checked, the license, the DOH license is government. So we imposed the no balance billing policy to them, being the government. But they are resisting since they are claiming that they are not actually government, but they only have this arrangement with the city, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Yung sa Candon lang alam nyo, wala kayong alam na ibang management company na nag-take over ng government level 1 hospital?
As far as I know, sir, that's the only hospital. Maybe the operations can respond to that. The operations sector.
Sino ba sa operations? Mr.
That
Aragona?
is in what area, sir? Cavite area will be
Like Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Rizal, or anywhere in the country?
Good morning, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, Sir Congressman. I have no knowledge with regards to that arrangement.
Mr. Chairman, kasi positive ako na merong ganito eh. Sa Samar ba, wala? Sa Katarman, yung level 1 hospital sa Katarman? Sa Northern Samar, wala ba? Na minamanage ng kampanya, na ibang kumpanya yung level 1 hospital ng gobyerno? Wala kayong alam? You're under oath, ha? Baka mamaya magkasabitan tayo dito. Wala aamin sa inyo? So, no knowledge whatsoever, Mr. Pagas?
None, sir.
60% of PhilHealth payments go to private hospitals and 40% sa gobyerno, tama?
Less, sir.
58-42 or maybe to round it off, it's 60-40. Mr. De Jesus, you're aware of that?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Congressman, pwede po bang pakiulit?
60-40, private-public. Yung private hospital gets 60% of PhilHealth payments, the public hospitals get 40%, according to Mr. Pargas. Would you agree with that?
Tama po yan, more or less.
Ngayon, ang tanong ko sa inyo, bakit po napakahirap magpa-accredit ang government hospital sa PhilHealth, samantala ang private napakadali nyo i-accredit? Mr. De Jesus.
Hindi po ako aware doon sa hirap na nabanggit ninyo.
Do we have the head of accreditation? Do we have? Sino po?
Senior Manager Riza Herrera po.
Mr. Herrera is recognized. Can you please shed light on the question of the Honorable Rimulya? Bakit daw ho mas mahirap magpa-accredit ang mga government hospitals kung ikukumpara sa private?
Nag-oath na ba yan, Mr. Chairman, yung ating testigo? Nag-oath na ba?
Can we request those who have not taken their oath, those in Zoom and those here in plenary, yung hindi pa ho nag-oath, yung treasury hindi pa rin nag-oath, to please stand up, and may we request Attorney Marivic to conduct the oath so ordered.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this joint congressional inquiry, so help you God? Thank you.
There you go. Please proceed.
Bakit mas madali hong maka-accredit ang private hospital kaysa sa public hospitals, especially sa no balance billing? Or sa no balance billing, napakahirap magkaroon ng no balance billing ang public hospitals. Bakit ho ganon?
Sir, the no balance billing only applies to
Exactly,
the
no?
government
Pero bakit
hospital.
ang private hospitals, madali ma-accredit, na bayaran nyo, pero ang government hospital, pag hindi no balance billing, hirap na hirap makasingil sa inyo. Bakit po ganon?
Before you apply, for the record lang po, pakilala niyo po ang inyong
Yes,
sarili.
good morning, sir. I am Dr. Riza Herrera of the Accreditation Department, the
Go ahead,
Senior
please.
Manager of the Accreditation Department.
Salamat po.
Bakit po napakahirap na magkaroon ng no balance billing ang government hospitals, ma'am?
On our experience, sir, ang no balance billing performance may not be complied with if the facility is not equipped with the adequate HR complement, the adequate supplies, and the expertise po ng mga professionals. So if they do not meet the requirements of the NBB, they are given the chance to comply with the requirements. They are not immediately denied of accreditation.
Kasi like sa amin po sa Cavite, it took us almost 1 year to be able to comply with our General Emilio Aguinaldo Hospital. 1 taon po ang inubos namin para bigyan kami ng accreditation sa no balance billing. Samantalang lahat ng private hospital sa paligid namin nabigyan ng PhilHealth accreditation. Lahat sila meron ng marka ng PhilHealth, may karato ng PhilHealth sa mga private hospital. Ang sa akin lang po, bakit may bias ang PhilHealth for the private sector as compared to the public sector?
May I refer that, sir, to another department? The no balance billing is not under the mandate of the accreditation.
Sino gumagawa ng
department.
health policy? Sino?
NBB. No copay policy, no copay policy.
Standards, ano naman sabi?
Mr. Pargas, you know the question?
Yes, sir. Sir, Mr. Chair, the requirements for accreditation are the same for both public and government. However, kasama po kasi sa minomonitor, sir, again, yung pong requirements for accreditation for a public and a private, pareho lang po. However, yung pong no balance billing, yan po ay isa sa polisiya ng PhilHealth. At yun nga po, sa ngayon, ang may no balance billing is the government. So yun pong compliance with the no balance billing is being monitored. Ngayon, kung hindi po comply with the no balance billing ang isang ospital, yan po ay dumadaan doon sa tinatawag namin monitoring process, sinusulatan ang
Okay,
ospital.
sige na.
Anomalya,
Naintindihan ko na yan. No?
mabilis lang ho na singit. Di ba ho pagka nagsobra ng singil yung public hospital, yung ibinayad na pera, papasok din ho dun sa pondo ng public hospital. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, ibig sabihin, wala namang kinita yun. Sa bulsa ng gobyerno, PhilHealth, pumunta rin dun sa...
Kasi ano nga,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, yun nga yung punto ko eh. Bakit may bias kayo para sa private hospitals as compared to public hospitals when the public hospitals are more part of the health system na binabayaran na ng gobyerno? Bakit kailangan yung private ang inyong paboran?
Again, Mr. Chair, pareho lang po yung requirements natin for public and private when it comes to accreditation. Only yung compliance po, kung halimbawa ang issue yung no balance billing, yung compliance po yung nagiging issue na kung saan, kung hindi po nakaka-comply, not only for no balance, for any other rules na hindi po nakaka-comply yung isang ospital, maaari po siyang grounds for denial of accreditation. Yun pong sa no balance billing, sir, yun pong mga non-compliance doon, halimbawa, ang isang pasyente,
Teka, humahaba ka. Sandali. Pagka hindi kasama sa no balance billing, mag-a-apply ba yung case rate? pag hindi nakakomply yung public hospital?
Sorry, Mr.
Pagka hindi nakakomply yung public hospital sa no balance billing, babayaran nyo ba ng case rate yung public hospital?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Case rate pa rin ang bayad nyo?
Yes.
Kahit hindi siya nakakomply sa no balance billing?
Yes, Mr. And then, kung meron pong mga nagastos, yung pasyente sa labas, bumili ng gamot, then ang magre-reimburse po sa kanya is yung ospital.
Kailan naging policy yan?
We'll have to check lang po, Mr.
That's a new policy. Is that not a new policy?
No, the policy of the
It doesn't work that way. You never treated the public hospitals in the same light. Dinideny nyo yung claim ng public hospitals, but you always pay the private hospitals easily.
Mr. Chair.
Napadali, Mr. I think
In
the
support-
Honorable Saga wants to remark on something.
Ako, Mr. Chair.
Sandali.
Okay.
Malinaw naman eh. When it comes to case rate, whether public or private hospital, we have the same case rate. Yes or no?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. The only difference is that sa public hospital, no balance billing. Halimbawa, sa cesarean, ang bayad nyo is 25,000 case rate. Tama ba yung 25,000?
19,000, Mr.
O 19,000. Yung 19,000, basta cesarean, public or private, 19,000 ang inyong ibabayad as case rate.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Sa public hospital naman, basta cesarean, 19,000, kahit na magkaroon ng komplikasyon at inabot ng isang buwan, sa public hospital, 19,000 pa rin ang inyong ibabayad.
Yes, Mr.
Yes. Samantalang sa private, abutin ng 10 araw, ibibil ng private ang lahat ng billing na pupwede, kaya yung case rate na binabayad nyo ay kulang na kulang sa ibabayad ng pasyente.
Mr. Chair, let me clarify, the no balance billing in the government
Hindi
is
nga sa
only in-
private eh. Ang sinasabi natin sa private,
Yes, sir.
pag sa
Yes, Mr.
private,
Chair.
case rate, 19,000 cesarean, pag inabot ng 1,000,000, yung balanse, babayaran ng pasyente. Tama o hindi?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. That's the clarification. Pagkatapos, ang sabi nyo nga, yung no balance billing, mga public hospital na naniningil out of the pocket ng mga pasyente o ng kanilang mga relative, dapat isuspend nyo ang PhilHealth accreditation. Yung nagbabiolate ng no balance billing. You answer, hindi pwede tayo ng tango.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Pagkatapos, meron din kayong policy ngayon na wala na munang suspension ng mga nagbabiolate sapagkat meron tayong pandemya. Tama o hindi?
Accreditation po ngayon. Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, pagka nag-violate ng no balance billing, babayaran nyo, pero after that, suspend nyo, di ba? Inaalis nyo na yung privilege ng public hospital.
Yun pong pagsususpend, only actually po, it goes through the process. Pag halimbawa po may mga...
Hindi na, mahaba na yon. Yes or no lang. Sinususpend nyo pagkatapos, di ba?
Meron po.
Okay, tama na. Haba mo magpaliwanag eh. Sino ang nag-identify ng IRM beneficiaries na lumabas sa listahan nyo? Is it the whole executive committee? Is it you, Mr. Pargas? Is it Mr. De Jesus? Sino nag-identify ng beneficiaries?
The hospitals you mean?
The
Yung
hospitals ng IRM, ng beneficiaries ng IRM.
Accredited facilities.
Hindi, kasi hindi naman lahat na accredited, binigyan nyo ng IRM. Binigyan nyo ba lahat ng accredited facility?
Lahat po sila ay RM, pero yung nabigyan lang po, yung nag-apply.
So yung
Lahat
nag-apply
po may
lang ang
computation.
nabigyan nyo. Kaya nung nag-apply ang Brown Avitum, binigyan nyo na 45 million. Nung nag-apply yung ibang hospital, pwede hindi nyo rin nabigyan. Sinasabi nyo, naubos na.
Mr. Chair, gaya po na nabang nung una po, lahat po ng mag-a-apply nakasama sa listahan ay mabibigyan. However, nagkaroon nga po ng pagbabago sa pulisiya na dapat ay kung sino yung may mga COVID na pasyente at mayroong report na kailangan bago po mabigyan.
Oh, sabi nyo sa polisiya nagbago, pero bakit yung Brown Avitum nabigyan nyo? Hindi naman siya nagmamanage ng COVID.
Napabago pa po nagkaroon ng pagbabago sa pulisiya.
O ngayon, nagbago ang polisiya. Pwede nyo bang i-withdraw yung perang yon sa mga institution na binigyan nyo?
Meron po tayong, Mr. Chair, meron po tayong tinatawag na liquidation process.
Ano?
Meron po tayong tinatawag na liquidation process.
Kubarin mo nga yung maskara mo para magkaintindihan tayo.
Sure.
Meron kayong liquidation process.
Meron
Hindi,
po.
tinatanong ko lang, IRM, policy, COVID only. Tapos binigyan niya yung non-COVID institutions, sabihin like Brown Avitum. Can you get the 45 million back or not? Mr. Jesus.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair, Mr. Congressman. Siguro magdadagdag lang po ako doon sa posibleng sagot sa katanungan ninyo. Yung pong paraan ng PhilHealth para ma-recover ang pina-advance namin po ay yun pong proseso ng pagpanahon po ng mag-submit na ang mga ospital ng kanilang sariling mga benefit claims. Ibig pong sabihin, kung sa isang ospital o isang pasilidad, meron po silang ginamot na 2 pasyente, yun pong claim documents nung para dun sa 2 pasyente, kahit ano po ang sakit nun, papasok po yun dun sa mga pakete, dun sa mga case rates na binanggit.
Mr. Jesus, delikado tayo dyan. Kasi yung ating pinag-uusapan dito, yung IRM, in advance nyo yan for COVID. Binigay nyo ngayon sa Brown Avitum na hindi naman COVID. Ang tinatanong ko sa inyo, since ang policy natin talaga ay dapat sa COVID lang yan, hindi pwede nyo bang bawiin yan sa Brown Avitum? At sabihin nyo, nagkamali kayo, dalang policy, binago na at hindi sila kasama sa COVID covered facility.
Kaya nga po paulit-ulit lang po naming sasabihin na nung una pong dinesign ang programa ng IRM, the manner by which na kinompute po ang allowable limits, yan po ay base sa isang quarter o 9 araw na average claims noong buong taon ng 2019 kada facility. Yan po ay mula level 3.
Papa natin eh.
Hindi po.
Tinatanong ko lang sa'yo kung pwede nyo bawiin. Yes or no?
Yes po, binabawi po namin yan by way of liquidation. Yun po ang sinasabi.
Ibig sabihin, technical malversation po yan. It was meant to be for COVID patients, binigay nyo sa non-COVID, so public fund was used for a public purpose but not the intended purpose.
Yun nga po ang pinapaliwanag namin na ang disenyo po ng IRM program ay para po sa response o responde ng PhilHealth sa magiging posibleng epekto sa buong sistema ng healthcare. Hindi lamang po yan para sa pagtrato or para sa paggamot ng mga pasyente na apektado ng COVID.
Okay.
Epekto po ng epidemya.
Excuse me, pwede tayo riyan. Mr. Attorney De Jesus?
Hindi po.
Dr. De Jesus?
Hindi rin po.
Okay, Mr. De Jesus, nililinaw lang natin. Yung policy nyo sa COVID, IRM, pwedeng gamitin ng healthcare institution to claim even benefits arising from non-COVID cases.
Tama po.
Tama. So sa madaling sabi, sa ngayon, ang policy nyo ay basta binigyan nyo ang isang public or private hospital, kahit na sila ay walang ginamot na COVID patient, pwede nilang i-charge sa IRM.
Tama po. Yun
tama,
po ang,
okay.
yun po ang
Sa madaling
pagkakadesign.
sabi, nakikita natin kung ganong karami ang COVID cases na tumataas. Pwede bang baguhin nyo ang policy na yung binigay nyong IRM, pwedeng gamitin lamang sa mga COVID cases?
Pwede po namin gawin yan.
Pwedeng gawin yan kasi kanina nalilito kami. You want to address not only the COVID cases, but even the emergency cases. Pero ang tanong ko, isang pasyente, may sakit sa puso, na-confine ng 3 araw, hindi nakapag-test, entitled ba siya sa COVID rate nyo?
Kung pagbabasihan po ay yung programa,
Wag na yung programa, yung ruling nyo na, yung circular nyo. Heart patient na confine sa ospital, hindi na test na matay. Magbabayad ba kayo ng expenses?
yung pong kung paano siya ginamot, yun po ang papatakan niya na
Papasok ba siya sa IRM sa inyong COVID case?
kung hindi pa po napapalitan ang aming polisidad, covered po ang kumbaga papatakan na
In other words,
na
Okay.
case.
Follow up lamang. Meron kayong circular 2020-009. Ang nakalagay dito, kinakailangan ay COVID na bago mag-apply itong ruling nyo. Tama ba?
Mari po bang
Ito, circular.
Sir Jesus, in addition to the point na sinasabi ni Congressman Barsaga, I have here your minutes. Ang minutes nyo rin, nakalagay COVID. Si BM Mercado pa yung nag-point that this should be the biggest hospitals handling COVID patients, other hospitals handling COVID patients, and those facilities that are preparing to cater to COVID patients. Nowhere in these minutes and the circular na sinasabing pwedeng iba. May I return the
Mr.
floor
Chairman,
to the Honorable...
Gusto ko lang linawin.
In other
kasi
words, Mr. Chairman,
naguguluhan ako
sir,
sa mga
sandali
sagot.
lang, Pidino. In other words, pinaninindigan nyo na yung IRM pwede nyo bigay kung kasino nyo gustong bigyan kahit hindi COVID-related. Yan ang sinasabi nyo.
Yun po ang pagkakadesign.
So,
Tama po yan.
sinasabi nyo na yung pera ng taong bayan, bahala kayo mag-dispense. Kahit ano pang patakaran, kayo gumagawa ng patakaran kung ano gusto nyo masusunod. Yun ang sinasabi nyo.
Hindi naman po.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mukhang ganun nga ang lumalabas. Kung trip nilang bigyan, bibigyan nila kahit na violative kasi they're in the business of dispensing money and not taking care of the actuarial situation of PhilHealth. Mr. Aragona, tama ba yon?
Mr. Chair.
Sino yung actuary?
Yes.
Mr. Tiago, tama ba yon?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. Congressman. Yes po, pero because this will be liquidated by claims po. So it is within the budget naman po ng PhilHealth.
In summation lang, Mr. Chairman, the point that I'm making here is
Mr. Chairman, support lang sa sinabi ni Congressman Remulla.
yung insurance, ito lang, no? Yung
Okay,
insurance
sige, Mr.
companies kasi, yung mga private insurance companies, they're in the business of denying claims. Deny first, then ask questions later when they appeal. Ang PhilHealth naman, sige, bigay natin ang bigayan. Hindi naman natin pera yan eh. Kumikita yung mga kaibigan natin, kaya bigay natin doon. Gano'n ba yun, Attorney Del Rosario? Bigay natin na ibigayan kasi bibigyan naman ng subsidy ng taong bayan yan, nagbabayad naman ng premium ng mga tao, kaya hindi natin kailangan ingatan nung babayaran natin. Bayaran natin lahat yan. Kumikita nga mga kaibigan natin. Ganun ba yan, Attorney De Rosario?
That is not correct, Mr. Chairman. I think the policy of the corporation is really to assist the hospitals and other healthcare providers during this time of pandemic, hoping that the assistance will redound to the benefit of our members. But to address your question whether...
Na, Mr. Chairman, ito na lang, no? Para lang, bibigyan ko lang, ipo-profile ko lang to, no? I would like to request that all PhilHealth payments orderly lang pagkagawa, no? By the year. Sa lahat ng ospital sa Cavite, public and private, pwede isabit lang dito para I would know the profile of each institute na binayaran ng PhilHealth. And I will prove my point with that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
For last, 7 years na lang. So the last 7 years, lahat ng PhilHealth payments na ginawa, na binayad sa lahat ng public and private hospitals sa lalawigan ng Cavite, gusto kong kunin yung record ng PhilHealth. Pwede nyo bigay sa akin yan.
Mr. Chair, maikling,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Honorable
Mr. Chairman.
Remulla. Yes.
maikling manifestation lang ng about
Go
doon sa binanggit ni Congressman Remulla kanina na binabanggit niya yung mga in relation doon sa mga HCIs na related sa mga COVID, eh hindi nalagyan out of the 711. At andito po yung mga listahan, Mr. Chairman. Yung testing laboratory provider natin na meron ng accreditation sa kanila, yung mga community isolation units natin na ay accredited na rin sa kanila, ay hindi nila nilagyan ng pondo. Samantalang yung mga HCI na hindi naman related nga sa COVID, eh ang lalaki. Mr. Chairman, the reason why tayo nagkakagulo dito, kasi nga hindi nila priority yung mga facilities na dapat lagyan. Kaya Mr. Chairman, I agree with the observation of Congressman Remulla as well.
Just a follow-up.
Thank you so much.
Yung bang pag-apply sa IRM tapos na?
Can you please reply?
Sa pagkakaalam po tapos na ang
Tapos na.
aming application. Ang huli pong binanggit ng aming mahal na Pangulo dahil nag-spike uli ang mga kaso ay baka magkaroon ng pangalawang IRM pero hindi na po yun natuloy.
O nga, pero ang sinasabi ko, paano naman yung, wag na yung private, yung mga public hospital na no balance billing na hindi nyo nabigyan ng IRM kahit
Yan.
sila ay nagtitreat ng COVID patients. Sapagkat nahuli hindi sila nakapag-apply, hindi na sila pwedeng mag-apply.
Honorable Barsaga, yung pong 27 billion nila, ang lumabas pa lang po ay 13 billion. I'm sorry, 14 billion. So may 13 billion pa kayong remaining dyan. So I think the point of the Honorable Barsaga, pwedeng dapat ikalat din to sa mga public hospitals.
Tama po yun. Pwede po namin gawin din yun dahil kung tutuusin po, kung sila po ay hindi nakapag-apply doon sa programa, pwede po silang mag-apply.
At pwede po ba na COVID-related lang?
Teka,
Doon sa out of
Honorable
15 billion.
Dan, 1 minute. Go ahead.
Dapat magkaroon kayo ng policy. Hindi yun po pwede. Kasi ang sinasabi ko, meron tayong IRM. Isang private hospital nag-claim na ng benefit payment sa inyo for the IRM. Ibig nyo, ano ang maging policy nyo? Magre-reimburse ulit kayo to cover up for the initial IRM o tigil na muna?
Tigil muna
Mr. Chair.
Okay, 1 minute. Go ahead.
Dili namin ko lang po ulit, no, at siguro dadagdagan nung aking SBP sa Health Finance Policy. Ang programang nga po ng IRM ay nakadesenyo para sa...
Simple yan, tanong ko. Naglabas na kayo ng 27 billion.
Opo.
Siyempre, magke-claim sila ng benefit payment at ito ang sinasabi nating part of their reimbursement. Kung ang isang private or public hospital binigay nyo ng 100 milyon, pag nag-claim to ng reimbursement, babawasin nyo doon sa 100 million.
Opo.
Okay. Kung matira halimbawa 60 million, mag-additional na naman kayo ng 40 million to make up for the initial IRM of 100 million? O hindi na muna?
Hindi po. Yun po ay magiging obligasyon namin kung halimbawa sa example po ninyo, nabigyan namin sila ng advance na 100, sila po ay nag-claim ng 160.
No, 40 million lamang.
Hindi po namin sila bibigyan ulit dahil hindi pa
kung
po...
maubos na yung 100 million, magbibigay na naman kayo ng IRM o hindi na?
Ito, sandali lang po. Nagbigay po kami ng 100.
Okay, nagbigay kayo 100 million.
Ang
Na-claim
nagamit
na
po,
sila ng 100 million. Mag-advance pa ba ulit kayo under the program of IRM ng another 100 million?
hindi po. Hanggang isa lang po ang programa namin ngayon. Kung sila po ay mag-claim ng mas malaki kesa sa nabigay, dadaan po yan sa normal na proseso ng aming
Hindi
claim.
pa presyo eh. You
Honorable
have to benefit
Barsaga,
eh.
yung pong 27 billion kasi kinalat na po sa ospital, IRM. Opo. Kung meron naman pong extra claim, let's say Hospital X, naubos yun ng 100 million, meron pa rin ibang pasyente na may PhilHealth claims, they now go through the normal process. They cannot avail of the IRM process. Opo.
So sa madaling sabi, itong IRM nyo, isang bigay lamang. There will be no additional IRM.
Sa ngayon po, opo.
Oh, para malaman naman ng mga health facilities na wala na silang asang tatanggapin mula sa PhilHealth.
Okay, so thank you. Honorable,
Pero yung hindi pa nakakapag-apply, posible na mag-apply based on your guidelines.
Opo.
Okay. So for the information of our members, 1 o'clock we will have a break. Magkakaroon na po tayo ng Exicom working lunch with Attorney Del Rosario. Na magkakaroon po tayo ng Exicom, but everyone else will also have their lunch. Yung po mga nasa Zoom, we will have a special Zoom na kayo lang po, yung mga members ng Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability and the Committee on Public Accounts, so that you can have para po marinig nyo ng direkta si Attorney Del Rosario. Before we proceed to the next interpellator, andito po si COA Chairman Mike Aguinaldo. May I recognize COA Chairman Mike? Good afternoon po. Do we have Chairman Mike Aguinaldo?
Mr. Chairman.
Magandang hapon po.
Yes, magandang hapon, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, tanong lang kasi nung last hearing namin, ang sabi po ng PhilHealth, yung po mga notice of disallowances po nila, hanggang ngayon nakapending po sa inyo. Ito po bang notice of disallowances since 2013 po to? O ito lang hong recent?
I don't have the list with me right now, pero we have a list of those. But predominantly, yung mga notices of disallowance nila pertain to benefits. Yung mga benefits that were given to the employees above and beyond what is allowed by the GCG.
Sige po, Chairman Mike. Dr. Pargas, noong 2013, ang sinabi nyo nakapending kayo, may mga notice of disallowances. Would that be in your sector or would that be in the legal or account?
It's with our finance.
Finance. So, Mr. Limsiaco. Mr. Limsiaco.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Ano yun, sir? Anong tanong po, sir?
Yung 2013 po na ba na mga notice of disallowances, 2013, 2014, 15, 16, yung po ba ay na-cure na yung mga overpayment sa mga benefits o pending po yun sa COA?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang disallowances natin on the part of the benefits still nasa COA pa yung iba po, Mr. Chair. Ang iba ay nasa regional COA level. Ang iba po ay naka-MR po with the COA proper. And then iba po ay nasa Supreme, Mr. Chair.
Meron kayong pending sa regional level, may pending kayo sa national level. Magkano ho ang total na to? If you put it together.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang total po nito ay lahat ng mga disallowances, benefits at saka kasama po yung claims po natin ay nasa 6.852 billion, Your Honor.
6.8
8.
billion.
Yes po.
Pero yung notice of disallowances nyo, dun lang ho sa may benefits at saka benefit claims.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, yes po, mga benefits po ito at saka claims natin, including may mga MOA pati, Mr. Chair, mga traveling expenses po. Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Chairman Mike, kung pwede ho ma-raise to kasi meron ho kaming portion since 2013, 16, 17. No? Itong 18 ho natin, basta rin ho yan recently. Parati pong findings ninyo may overpayment na sinasabi on the benefit claims. Paano po natin iti-treat yun? Do we now, kasi ito naging 6.8 na of disallowance. I think it would be bigger than the 6.8 disallowance. Chairman Mike?
Yes. What we mean by overpayment of benefits, these are benefits to PhilHealth employees. Hindi yung hindi po yung mga claims ng mga hospitals or so. There might be a couple of those. Some of them might be money claims. Pero ang bulk nun po is overpayment of benefits. Yung mga bonuses, mga they have names for it, no? Like labor management gratuity, mga ganun po.
Kunyari po, dito po 2013, I have the COA report with me. Ang sinabi po niya dito, 721 million.
Yes.
Walang supporting documents, absence of billing statements coming from healthcare providers. This is only one area.
Opo.
So, ang feeling ko, I'm sorry, these were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 areas na sinasabi, random audit, kulang-kulang po yung mga benefit claim vouchers at saka yung supporting statements. Ang ibig po ba sabihin, na-clear na po to?
Hindi pa po. Unless there's been if there's a disallowance that has been issued, may first level of appeal po yan that goes either to the regional director or the cluster director as the case may be. And then kung may decision na yung regional or cluster director, appealable po yan sa commission proper. So there's a two-step appeal process po.
Yes, Chairman Mike. Kasi po, ang sinasabi po ni Mr. Lim Siaco, ang disallowance na lang po natin from PhilHealth is 6.8 billion. I would think if I put together or you will do a thorough audit of every year from 2013 to 2017, mas malaki po ang lalabas ditong mga problema in terms of overpayments. Chairman Mike? Okay. Nawala si Chairman Mike?
Yes po. That's possible po.
So, yun nga po, ang binabanggit ko ho, yung 2013-2014, mukha hong hindi thorough yung naging audit natin because it would seem, dun po sa latest report na 6.8 na lang ang pending, may hindi po mga na-review na tama.
Well, that's possible because in the regular course of the audit, hindi naman tinitingnan po lahat. They just do a sampling. And then it's only later that they decide whether to do a thorough special audit. Matagal ko kasing proseso yan, yung special audit. Because they go through each and every payment that's made. So it's very time-consuming, it's very labor-intensive. So posible po yan.
Thank you, Chairman Mike. Ito na lang po, last question na lang before I proceed to the next interpolator. Sabi po ni Mr. Dr. Pargas, pagka-suspect sa COVID, they can avail of the 43,000. If they are only a suspect, they can already avail of the 43,000. That is very, very dangerous, Chairman Mike. Even if their policy would say so, baka po sumos madami pang COVID sa PhilHealth kesa doon sa mismong record ng DOH. What is your opinion on that, Chairman Mike Aguinaldo?
Yeah, well, first of all, it would be a policy matter. And so the first question you ask would be, was the policy properly approved? Is the policy actually consistent with law? So that's the first hurdle. The second, of course, would be looking at the actual utilization, no? Which you just mentioned. No? Does it tally with the numbers from the DOH? If not, why? What explanation can they proffer for that? So yeah, I can understand how you can see it as being something that could be or would be problematic.
Thank you, Chairman Mike. Maraming salamat. And I hope within this level, Dr. Pargas, I will not accept, I will definitely oppose, and I will file a case against PhilHealth if you use your RIM for suspected cases. Because under your policy, it should be positive. Kailangan po positive. Marami din po nag-positive na hindi nag-avail ng IRM. Marami nag-positive na hindi nagpunta ng ospital. Ang danger ko dyan at ang worry ko dyan, if the funds ng 37 billion ay sasabihin na suspect ka lang, pwede mo nang gamitin, delikado po yan. Yan po talaga. Yan na yung danger natin na talaga mauubos yung pondo natin pagka sa mere suspicion or at least nilista lang ng ospital. Again, as I've said in the past, with the connivance of our PhilHealth officials, then we have a problem. DS
Mr. Chair,
Fernandez.
may tanong lang ako kay, kay Chairman Mike. Isa lang po to tungkol po sa Chairman, tungkol dun sa internal audit that was conducted by COA, specifically on the information and communication technology. And they have already answered, no, yung kanila pong mga observation po ninyo. So ang tanong ko po ay meron na po ba kayong rejoinder doon sa kanilang pong mga sagot?
Are you referring to the IT audit
Yes,
that was done recently?
Yeah, yung pong recently
Yeah.
lamang po na
Actually, for information lang po, that audit was actually done by the Internal Audit Service of PhilHealth, hindi po COA, because what I was told by our resident auditor there is that hindi daw natuloy yung project. It was at the proposal stage. And so hindi pa nila ma-review because there was no contract yet, there was no disbursement at all. So hindi pa nila nare-review yung aspect na yon. The report that came out in the papers really came from, I think, the Internal Audit Service in PhilHealth.
Okay, pero Mr. Chairman, no, meron lamang akong tanong sa iyo doon, no. With regards doon sa mga ISSP po, ito po yung information system strategic plan nila na approve po ng kanilang board for 2018 to 2020. Ngayon po, doon nakapaloob yung pong mga bibili nilang mga ISP. But unfortunately, according po doon sa internal audit, ay hindi po yun ang isinalang nila na bibilin doon po sa corporate operating budget nila. Is that subject to your audit as well, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma-audit po yun. That would be subject to the audit. In fact, meron ng mga initial observations yung auditors namin, but it's still a work in progress, kaya hindi ko po pwedeng ma-disclose at this stage.
Okay, so maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman, at doon lang muna tayo. Ang klaro po ay this is subject also sa audit yung mga ISSP na approve ng kanilang board. Maraming po salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, DS
Ay,
Fernandez.
Mr. Chair, isa na lang po pala, may nakalimutan lang po ako. Kasi last hearing po natin, hiningi natin sa kanila yung accreditation fee na kung saan ay napapupunta po sa mga bonuses.
Yes, that
At,
was raised
dito
by
po
the
sa
Honorable Abante earlier.
Yes, sa hiningi po nating record, Mr. Chairman, hindi po nila sinubmit ngayon. And ito rin po ang itatanong ko sana kay Chairman Mike, kung doon po sa kanilang audit report ay yung po bang accreditation fee ng mga hospital, kasama po ba sa disallowances na ginawa po ninyo yun?
Kung saan po ginamit yung accreditation fee, I'm assuming of course it's a legal fee that they could charge, no? But any money that goes into the coffers of PhilHealth is subject to audit. So kung meron pong accreditation fee yan, how it's used, well, the revenue received as well as how it's actually utilized is subject to the audit.
Well, nag-ano po yan, Mr. Chair, nung last hearing, binanggit po nila that ito po ay hinate based on percentage. Pinagati-hatian po ng mga PhilHealth officials and those who are accredited by them. So, I think yun po ang inaantay po namin, Mr. Chair, kung yun po ba ay bawal na yung accreditation fee na pinagati-hatian po nila ay dinidisallow po ng COA.
I'll have to check if there are existing disallowances on that. But ordinarily, for something like that to be possible, meaning yung accreditation fee paghahati-hatian, there has to be a legal basis for that. No? Kailangan may authority before pwedeng gawin yon. Hindi kusa lang pwedeng gawin yon. Kailangan merong basehan talaga. Kung walang basehan po, madidisallow talaga po yan.
So Mr. Chairman, if ever na ginawa po nila yon, there will be a basis to file a case against them.
Pwede naman po.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, maraming po salamat at balikan po natin sana yung kasi hindi po nila padala sa atin. Yung pong kung magkano yung mga bonuses ng mga PhilHealth boards na nakuha para doon sa accreditation fee.
Yes, maraming salamat. Ito yung tinanong din noon na ni-raise ni Honorable Minority Floor Leader Benny Abante. We now proceed to our next interpellator. The Honorable Ace Barbers is recognized. Congressman Barbers.
Hold on a minute, Mr. Chair. Yan. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair. Bago pong lahat, I will ask the committee secretary to list my name dun sa second round para bago ko po makakalimutan. Mr. Chair, tayo po ay nasa IRM issue pa rin, ano?
Yes, Honorable Barbers.
Okay, I will try to limit my questions dun sa issue po ng IRM kasi marami pa hong ibang pwede nating tanungin tungkol sa tanungin sa PhilHealth tungkol dun sa ibang issues.
Pwede naman po kayong tumalon din sa ibang mga tanong as long as within your time ng 20 minutes kung may nakikita po kayong nais nyo ng ipagtanong.
Okay, maraming salamat, Mr. Chair. Unang-una ho, yung pong basihan ng executive session po natin kay SVP Del Rosario, does this involve national security issues that he has to disclose to the committee? Kasi kung hindi naman po, Mr. Chair, wala naman hong basihan siguro para tayo ay mag-executive session. Unless meron siyang information that might involve national security or if he will spill the beans, pwede po natin siyang entertainin doon. Otherwise, sa tingin ko, parang it's a story of it's my word against his word, against the other person's word, etc. etc. So, yun lang. Pwede nyo na pong sagutin mamaya, Mr. Chair, para dumiretso na ho ako dito sa PhilHealth. Yung pong ano ang legal basis, Mr. Del Rosario, ng IRM?
Attorney Del Rosario, recognized.
Mr. Chair, mayong hapon, Congressman. Sir, the legal opinion that we issued to the PhilHealth management states that the PhilHealth board has the authority to develop and formulate policies pertaining to provider payment mechanisms, contribution, membership, among others. This pertains to the authority of the board, and we also reminded the management on that March 17 legal opinion that the matter should be presented to the PhilHealth board.
Okay, so I suppose that there is a board resolution to this effect, no? And with that, did the EXICOM ask your legal opinion on this particular IRM? Meron po bang ganon?
Yes, sir. We issued that particular legal opinion. And as I said, that pertains to the authority of the board. And we took note of the past implementation of that particular policy during the other calamities that
Yes, I understand. Mr. Del Rosario, wag na ho natin balikan yung dating implementation because malayong-malayo ho ito dun sa dati. I will cite the difference later as we go along. Dito sa implementation ng IRM, nabanggit nyo kanina yung mga precedents, di ba? Pwede ho bang briefly sabihin nyo sa amin ano ho yung mga na-cite na mga precedents in order for you and the board and the EXICOM to come up with an IRM specifically for this pandemic, yung ating COVID?
As far as I remember, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, our legal opinion did not specify the instances where IRM policy was implemented. But to my best recollection, the IRM was implemented during the time of Typhoon Undoy, Typhoon Yolanda, the Marawi siege, and Taal volcano eruption, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor.
Yeah, yun na nga yung mga basihan ninyo sa fortuitous events, di ba? Undoy, Taal, Marawi, all these things, no, that where IRM was implemented, correct? At itong issuances of the IRM or the implementation of the IRM before marami kasing mga questions tungkol dun sa previous implementations ninyo doon sa IRM. I don't know if you're already with the PhilHealth during that time, no? And gusto ko lang kasing ma-clarify, can you educate me, ano ibig hong sabihin ng IRM?
IRM, Mr. Chairman, based on the PhilHealth issuances, stands for Interim Reimbursement Mechanism.
So very clear ho tayo doon, reimbursement. Di ba po? So reimbursement meaning, in my little knowledge of the Webster's meaning of the reimbursement is that when a service or a procurement happen, i-reimburse nyo. Babayaran nyo. Di ba?
That's Mr. Chairman, that's the plain meaning of the word reimbursement.
Is there any other meaning other than the plain meaning, attorney?
Sir, but it was used differently by PhilHealth for this purpose.
That's precisely my next point. It says IRM, reimbursement. So there is nowhere in any of your memorandums, your circulars, not even during the board meetings that you had, that you discussed and approved and allowed and authorized yung issuances of cash advances. Tama? Kasi issuance of cash advances using public funds might constitute, yun nga, sinasabi kanina ni Congressman Remulla, malversation. Di ba po ba? Kasi nasa Procurement Act natin, nasa batas natin, that you can only disburse funds kapag meron na pong service na naibayad o hindi kaya meron na ho kayong nabili na dumaan sa isang proseso. Tama po ba ako doon?
I understand your point, Mr. Chairman, but for the purposes of discussion and based on my understanding of PhilHealth policies, the provisions of the Universal Healthcare Act actually directs the shift to what we call prospective payment, Your Honor, and this is actually an advance payment, no?
Excuse me, attorney, excuse me po, no? Itong IRM, you cannot use the universal health care. Can you cite the provision first? Kung ano yung nagsasaad doon sa universal health care na pwede kayong mag-advance dito sa pondong ito?
Yes, sir. The UHC Act, I don't remember the exact provision.
That's exactly my point.
But
Because if you know your justification and your basis, you will easily answer the committee. So in other words, ito hong ating IRM, Attorney Del Rosario, sa aking palagay, unang-una, hindi ho ito a form of cash advance. Bakit? Kasi it is illegal for public funds to be disbursed to private entities without following the provisions of our procurement law. Diba? Yun nga, yung services rendered at saka yung mga nabili. Second, it is also not an interest-free loan. No? Hindi naman tayo nagpapautang na okay, mangutang kayo, walang interest yan. Wala tayong ganon. Kasi nilabas niyo yung pera, it's supposed to have been incurred interests and earned for the government. Dahil nilabas nyo, napakalaking sayang. Dito ho sa attorney, dito sa yung bigyan nyo nga ho kami ng idea quickly kung ano yung SOP, yung Standard Operating Procedure to guide the IRM implementation from your head office down to the regional offices. Quickly lang.
I'm not the best person to discuss that, Your Honor. I have no hand in the crafting of the SOP. If the chairman will allow it, I will refer you to our corporate counsel who actually prepared for the discussion on the IRM.
Aren't you the SVP for legal?
Yes, sir. But we have a corporate counsel. The legal offices at PhilHealth is composed of 4 offices, and I only supervise one office with 4 departments. But the legal offices under the regions are under the supervision of the operation sector. The arbitration office, which decides on the cases, is under a separate office, and we have a corporate counsel who reviews the issuances of.
Okay, so ganito na lang. Being the SVP legal, did you or your office issue a legal opinion on the viability of this IRM program? Kasi pinresent ng board, no, nandoon kayo lahat. Definitely may pondong required at madi-disburse dito. Hindi ba nagtanong yung board ng inyong opinion tungkol dito?
The board did not ask for our opinion, Mr. Chairman, but we provided the President and CEO the opinion pertaining to IRM that it is within the authority of the board to determine payment mechanisms. And,
payment mechanisms, very clear ho tayo dyan, payment mechanisms. Pero I'm referring to advance payments. Is that part of the mandate of or the purview of the IRM na mag-allow ng advance payments? Kaya nga, di ba, interim reimbursement eh. Otherwise, you could have named it interim reimbursement and advance payments. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. The opinion did not touch on the issue on advance payment. What the opinion stated is that the PhilHealth Board has the authority to formulate policies on provider payment mechanisms.
Oh, yun na nga eh. Medyo lumalayo tayo dun sa tanong ko, attorney eh. Kasi nga, di ba, I believe that since a board has come up with that kind of a policy, ngayon, the first or the second next step is that they will ask the opinion of the legal department. Kung ito ba'y tama, ito ba'y legal, ito ba'y pasok dun sa batas at hindi ba tayo maiipit dito? Because to me, as it seems that after you disburse those funds without a legal basis, therefore, that to my mind, it constitutes a violation of the law, which is a technical malversation or malversation of funds. Kasi nga, dapat nga, bago yan niro-roll out yung mga programa, unang tatanungin yung legal. Ikaw nandyan sa opisina. You could have given your opinion, oy, bawal yan, because there is a law. Am I made to believe, Attorney Del Rosario, that you agreed to the board that there is no problem, there is no violation of any law if we implement an advance payment under the IRM program? Is that correct?
In my opinion, Mr. Chairman, I believe that the board has acted within its authority in the implementation of the interim reimbursement mechanism, not only for COVID but for the past instances, Mr. Chair.
Yung past instances, okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to clarify, Attorney Del Rosario, I don't think the board ever agreed to the IRM being discussed now. Yung pong pinag-usapan nyo na IRM, tinitingnan ko lahat ng minutes nyo, wala namang ganyan pong usapan eh. Lahat po to COVID, lahat po to sinasabi, ilalagay natin sa mga COVID hospitals. Yung binabanggit ni Congressman Barbers, these were all, the policy was approved, but in terms of execution, nag-iba po kayo. Kasi sinasabi nyo na ngayon, pwede nang gamitin kahit hindi COVID. Tama po ba, Attorney Del Rosario?
Mr. Chair, I'm not privy to all the discussions of the PhilHealth Board, but we do have members of the board present, so you can address your questions to them if you like, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Attorney Del Rosario. Unless the Honorable Barbers would like to, andito po yung board eh, kasi parang sa akin po iba Congressman Barbers yung inaprubahan na polisiya at iba yung naging implementation. Unless
Exactly.
you want to here.
Exactly my point, Mr. Chair. Kasi nga po, kaya ako nagtatanong kung meron ho bang opinion na in-issue ang legal department, because otherwise, kung merong legal opinion to, di sana bigyan nyo nga kami ng kopya. Kung meron nga ba kayong ginawang opinion na dito mula sa iyong opisina, Attorney Del Rosario. I will ask the members of the board later, but I'd like to focus first on Attorney Del Rosario for the reason that lahat po naman ng ito, hindi ho sana mangyayari itong disbursement of funds without any programs for that matter that PhilHealth will roll out. Lahat ho yan, hinihingian ho yan ng legal opinion from the legal department. Para ho, protektado sila, wala ho silang tatama ang batas at wala ho silang mababiolate. Exact, kaya nga ho gusto kong malaman kung meron man, may I ask Mr. Chair that Attorney Del Rosario submit to the committee whatever legal opinion his office has rendered in the implementation and even in the formulation of the IRM scheme para ho makita natin. Is that all right, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Attorney Del Rosario, can you
Yes, sir.
kindly
We will submit
furnish?
all pertinent legal opinions on the matter.
Congressman Barbers, I just want to inform you, si Board Member Kabading is also in Zoom. And kung ano daw pong, I think, kung anong kailangan mong information, pwede rin niyang ibagi sa'yo.
Sige, okay, tama. Salamat po, Mr. Chair. Board Member Kabading, can you hear me?
Board Member Kabading is recognized.
Kasi, Mr. Chair, habang wala pa si Mr. Kabading, dun lang sa recipients ng IRM, ang dami ng question which was raised earlier by Congressman Remulla, Congressman Dan Fernandez, and Congressman Barsaga, and even the chair. No? Sabi nila, ang daming naging recipient ng IRM na pondo na hindi naman supposed to be dapat. No? Maraming non-accredited hospitals na issuehan. Maraming hospitals with pending cases, no? Nasa office ni I'm sure nasa office ni Attorney Del Rosario yan. Yung mga non-hospital facilities na hindi din dapat like dialysis clinics, etc., lying-ins, etc., etc. So ang next ko nga sanang itatanong, meron bang special reason why PhilHealth allowed advance payments to non-credited HCIs? No, kagaya pong mga nabanggit ko ngayon. Ewan ko kung sino pwedeng sumagot sa kanila.
Can we request Board Member Kabading to unmute? Kasi hindi ko ata siya...
Oh, yes. Good afternoon po, Congressman and Congressman Mike Defensor and Congressman Barbers.
Magandang hapon po, Board Member Kabading. I will... Opo, para po...
Mr. Kabading, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's good.
Itatanong ko lang, you were a member of the board, di ba? Nung napag-usapan, napag-agrihan at naaprubahan ninyo yung pag-i-implement ng IRM. Tama po ba yun? Okay. So in your discussion, was there ever a point in your discussion in the board, no, that asked for a legal opinion from Mr. Del Rosario?
I'm sorry, Senator. I could not remember. It's quite matagal-tagal na po.
Okay, so hindi niyo po matandaan. So
Yeah, that's it.
Oo. Kasi nakakapagtaka nga ho, looking at the funds that were released, no, for this purpose, yung IRM, daming question sa isipan natin at ng isipan ng taong bayan. One,
yes.
Di ba? Maraming nakatanggap o yung mga fund recipients na hindi naman dapat, kagaya nung nabanggit ko kanina, yung non-accredited hospitals, hospitals with pending administrative cases, yung clinics, no, like dialysis clinics, etc., etc. Kaya nga ang next kong sanang tanong, meron bang special reason sa tingin nyo, sa inyong opinion lang, kung bakit itong mga HCIs na ito na may kaso at yung mga non-accredited ay nakakatanggap po ng pondo sa IRM?
That level of releasing funds to those that have cases, myself is surprised to that because we were kept on the dark with respect to the discussion whether or not this hospital who have cases are could receive. Actually, diyan ko na lang po nalaman sa discussion na yung palang listang na mga yan include those that have cases. So I'm just surprised as maybe as you are guys, Congressman.
Okay, salamat. Kasi nga, kaya nga na nabanggit ko, parehas tayo at mga taong bayan nagtatanong, bakit naman napaka-special naman ito? Hindi ho kaya ay may mga relationships, may magiging... we will discover that eventually, Mr. Chair, no? Sa tingin ko. At dadating din tayo sa puntong yan. Ngayon, ito hong usapan ninyo sa board, no? Nung napag-usapan niyo na gumawa tayo ng IRM para matulungan natin dahil may instructions ang ating pangulo na tulungan lahat ng mga ospital na mag-entertain o magti-treat ng mga COVID patients. Napag-usapan niyo ho ba doon na yung mga regulations, yung mga policies in order for the PhilHealth to make sure or ensure the public na safe po yung pera nila. Kunyari, pag nag-liquidate, pagka nag-submit na ho ng kanilang billing yung mga ospital, meron ho bang polisiya ang PhilHealth na nire-require yung lahat ng mga ospital na dapat monthly meron kayong sinasubmit na periodic reports, meron kayong sinasubmit na mga utilization reports, etc. etc. Kasi malawak ho yung sakop itong IRM na ito eh.
Yeah, yung idea of liquidation, I was also surprised because it was never discussed. How long will it take? Like they were saying, 120 days because ano daw yan because of the COVID. But what I was another surprise though is there was a memo issued. I just forgot the number though, but it was issued making the liquidation of IRM optional. And during the board meeting, I questioned this because I thought this was really ill thought to be to issue such. Can you imagine issuing this IRM, making the liquidation optional? I don't know where did you get this idea. Where in fact releasing it by itself, it's a government fund, but it's automatic that has to be reimbursed. And the fact that this one is happening makes that yung kwento na favoritism, yung kwentong binigyan na hindi naman COVID referral hospital, the money that were given to them might be the making it a room for them to maneuver dahil down sa issuance of making it optional.
Yes.
Because originally, if you thought if it is COVID, it should be COVID. And why you are giving it to non-COVID? Now you will issue a memorandum making it optional. Where did you get that idea?
Tama.
So, these are things in the board that I'm so surprised with.
I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Kabading. No? Kaya nga, Mr. Chair, no, dito sa usapin ng IRM, very clear no, that there was in the implementation of this, nakita natin na marami talagang questionable. And including dun sa disbursement, including dun sa recipients, maraming butas itong kaya nga makakasagot ho nito if indeed there was really an opinion, a legal opinion from Attorney Del Rosario, then we want him to submit to the committee so that alam natin that from the beginning, the people that should implement IRM are already aware of the possible violations if they do not comply with the provisions of any existing law, Mr. Chair. So obviously, yung IRM, malaki ang problema po dito. I will not anymore belabor yung IRM. But kasi kanina ko pa napapansin, also in the last hearing, itong si Dr. Vic Vargas. Tanong ko lang ho, ano ho bang Dr. Rusha, di ba po, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Correction, Honorable Barbers, it's not Dr. Vic, but Dr. Ish Pargas.
I'm sorry. Medyo kakapanood ko lang ho nung pelikula ni Pugo tsaka ni Tugo kanina. Naalala ko lang. Sorry. Dr. Pargas, may I know if you're a doctor, ano pong specialization niyo?
Yes, Mr.
Dr. Pargas.
I'm a general practitioner, sir.
So general practitioner. It seems that in all your answers to the questions of the members of the Senate and members of the House, parang kayo ho yung kayo yung gumagawa nung mga package o pakete dun sa case rate policy, di ba? Parang kayo nagde-determine magkano yung dapat ibayad, ano yung range, no? Kayo yung nagde-determine kung ano yung klase ng mga sakit na dapat masama dun sa pakete. At saka parang parang lahat to is all dependent on you. So do you have a written proposal to the members of the board as to which illnesses should be considered in your packages of case rate packages?
Mr. Chair, under my sector po is the benefits development uh, and research department who does the research and study with regard to this to any benefit packages po.
Yun, exactly, Mr. Chair. Doon mo, example, i-limit natin kunyari o sa mata, no? Yung opta. Kayo ho ba nag-determine na yung isang mata ay magkano ho ba yun?
16,000, Mr. Chair.
Congressman Barbers, can you wrap up your
Yes,
question?
this is just the last, Mr. Chair, because I'd like to establish, it seems that all policies that have been drafted by this PhilHealth management today were all taken from the idea and the wisdom of Dr. Paragas. That's why I asked, ano ba yung qualification niya? Has he ever done an operation or a surgery? Hindi pala, general medicine. So I'm not discounting your ability and your intelligence on other issues. It's just that kaya ako gustong tanungin kasi baka naman may mali tayo dun sa listahan ng mga illnesses na dapat nasasakop ng PhilHealth. So yun lang, Mr. Chair. Later on my second round, I will go back again to the legal department. And my question earlier before I started, if indeed there is a need for an executive session, let us remind Attorney Del Rosario that whatever discussions he will have with us under the executive session must be involved national security or information that would help us in our investigation. Yun lamang po, Mr. Chair. At I hope that my name will be listed in the second round. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Congressman Barbers. We will do that. The next one, before we suspend temporarily, I'd like to recognize the Honorable Marcoleta. The Honorable Dante Marcoleta is recognized. Kindly unmute, Congressman Marcoleta. Unmute po. Yan, go ahead.
Magandang hapon po. Malinaw na po ba, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Deputy Speaker Dante Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, balikan ko lang po sana yung nauna kong tanong doon sa huling pagdinig natin sapagkat hindi naman masyadong nasagot yun ni Dr. Pargas. Yun po yung tungkol doon sa paano po natin makukuha uli yung pera na sobra doon sa naibayad natin sa isang HCI sapagkat yung kanilang binigay na serbisyo sa isang pasyente ay hindi naman sakto doon sa ibinigay na pera ng PhilHealth. Halimbawa nga po, kung ang sakit ay pneumonia, 15,000 po yun. Pagkatapos ang serbisyo ay 10,000 lang. Ang tinatanong ko po, sino po yung makikinabang doon sa sobra na 5,000 pesos? Napaka-importante po kasi noon, Mr. Chair. At yun po ay hindi nasagot na mabuti kung sinong makikinabang noon at kung yun ba ay makukuha pang pabalik ng PhilHealth.
Dr. Pargas.
Mr. Chair, ang makikinabang po nito ay ang ospital upang again tumugon po doon sa mga pangangailangan upang lalo pa pong mapag-ibayo yung paggamot ng ating mga pasyente. Kaya ito po yung disenyo ng ating provider payment mechanism na kung saan, yun nga po na kung merong pagkukulang or kung may labis, dapat po yung labis ay makakatulong doon sa pagkukulang na ibinabayad po natin.
Mr. Pargas, yung pong sagot ninyo ay sobra-sobra dahil sa binayaran naman po natin yung ospital. Wala po siyang maisisisi sa PhilHealth sapagkat yung serbisyong kanyang ginawa sa pasyente ay binayaran ninyo. Hindi kailanman tungkulin ng PhilHealth na yung sobra na yon ay gagamitin pa rin niya para sa kanyang sariling kapakanan. Hindi natin naman alam kung paano niya gagamitin yon para sa kapakinabangan ng ibang pasyente. Sa makatwid, gumawa po kayo ng assumption na hindi kaugnay ng inyong tungkulin. Ang tungkulin po ninyo ay alagaan po ninyo ang pera na ipinagkatiwala sa inyo ng ating mga mamamayan, particular na po yung mga miyembro ng PhilHealth. Hindi kailanman ay aayunan ninyo ang benepisyo para sa ospital. Sa makatwid, Mr. Chair, ang sinasabi nila rito, ibinigay na lang nila na basta ganun sa ospital yung sobra na bayad sa PhilHealth. Mr. Pargas o Dr. Pargas, kung yung PhilHealth po ay isang private business na kayo po ang may-ari, at ang sistema po ng ACR o yung all case rate ay inyong nabili mula dun sa negosyong nauna na kayo na po ang bagong nagmamanage at nagme-may-ari, hindi po ba niyo papalitan ng sistema niyan?
Mr. Chair,
Dr.
sa ngayon
Vargas.
po, yan po talaga ang ating direksyon, ang pagpapalit po sa panibagong pamaraan ng pagbabayad sa ating mga facilities at yan po ang ating pinag-aaralan sa ngayon. Kung
Pinag-aaralan pa lang ninyo, Dr. Pargas. Hindi ba yan ay nagsimula kayo 2012?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Dr. Pargas, nagsimulang implement ninyo yung ACR o yung all case rate 2012 pa. Ang tinatanong ko sa iyo, yung naibayad nyo ng sobra-sobra sa napakaraming na mga hospital, ngayon lamang natin nakikita sapagkat sa kanyang kabuuan ay hindi na katanggap-tanggap sapagkat parang nakita namin napakalaking kontrobersya ang ginawa ninyo. Hindi pala ninyo nasisinop ang pera na ipinagkatiwala sa inyo ng mga miyembro ng PhilHealth. At ngayon sasabihin ninyo sa amin, ngayon pa lang ninyo pag-aaralan, wala kayong karapatan na mag-manage kayo ng isang pondong katulad ng PhilHealth kung ganyan ang pangangatwiran na sinasabi ninyo sa amin. Hindi pala ninyo kayang pangalagaan ang PhilHealth funds ay ngayon nyo lang pala pag-aaralan. Mr. Chair, dito po makikita natin na napakalaki ng pagkukulang ng mga taong namamahala ng PhilHealth ngayon, lalong-lalo na po yung mga miyembro ng Execom. Hindi pala nila binabantayan ng pondo, Mr. Chair. Dr. Pargas, ikaw ba'y nakasakay ka na ng tren?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Nakasakay ka na rin ng bus siguro. Halimbawa, sa isa buong buhay mo, nanggaling ka ng Baguio, papuntang Maynila, or vice versa.
Yes,
Nagawa mo na ba sumakay ng bus?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Kapag ikaw ay sumakay ng bus, Dr. Pargas, kunyari nanggaling ka ng Baguio, galing ka ng Maynila, papunta ka ng Baguio, ilang beses mong makikita ang inspektor ng bus na aakyat sa bus na sinasakyan mo?
Ilang beses din po, Mr. Chair.
Mga kumisan, 2, 3 hanggang 4 na beses bago makarating ng Baguio ang bus, hindi ba, Dr. Pargas?
Tama po.
Ibig sabihin, ito transportation company lang. Ang laman ng bus siguro, Mr. Chair, 50 hanggang 60 siguro, depende sa laki ng bus. Pero tinitingnan po nila, minamanage nila, minomonitor po nila yung mga pasahero. Titingnan nila kung yung hawak nilang ticket ng kanilang ng bus ay tama ang pagkasingil ng kanilang konduktor. Hindi ba ninyo kayang gawin yung ganon, Dr. Pargas? Kung ang isang transportation company kaya niyang gawin at i-monitor ang isang simpleng bagay. Kayo po, bilyon-bilyon na pondo ang ipinamahala sa inyo. Wala man lang kayong pamamaraan kung paano nyo sisinupin ang pondo ng bayan. Nung po ang PhilHealth ay hindi pa PhilHealth, Mr. Chair, ito po'y Medicare pa lang. Naalala ko po, ito po'y ang kumukolekta po dyan kung private employees ang SSS po eh. Pagka naman government employees, GSIS po yata kung hindi ako nagkakamali. Tama po ba yun, Dr. Pargas?
Tama po.
Sa SSS po, meron po silang tinatawag na MACP. Ito po yung membership Membership Assistance Counter Personnel. Tama po ba yun?
Maaari po, hindi po ako pamilyar doon sa naging operasyon.
Opo, yun po ay tinatawag na MACP, Membership Assistance Counter Personnel. Ang ibig sabihin po noon, meron silang visiting team. Pinupuntahan ang mga ospital, tinitingnan po yung mga patients at binabalidate po nila yung mga sakit at kung sila ay nandun sa admission record, sa loob ng isang araw, nakikita po nila, namomonitor nila kung tama po yung kalagayan ng may sakit sapagkat pag magke-claim po yung ospital, alam na alam nila kung tama po yung claim. Kaya po, bawas na bawas kung hindi man wala yung mga fraudulent claims na hindi kagaya ng panahon ninyo sapagkat wala pala kayong mga mechanism, Dr. Pargas. Ngayon nyo lang pag-aaralan at titingnan mabuti kung papalitan ninyo o hindi. Ano sa palagay po ninyo ang inyong pananagutan sa loob ng 8 taon na inyong isinulong at tinaguyod yung ACR at pagkatapos, ayan nga, sabi nga po nila, kaya pala nagka-hetot-hetot ang pondo ng, ng PhilHealth nang dahil sa kagagawan ninyo. Napakalakas naman po ng loob ninyo na ngayon nyo lang sasabihin, ngayon nyo lang pag-aaralan. Nakalulungkot po ang mga pagsagot po ninyo, Dr. Pargas. Kung tanungin ko po kaya kayo ngayon, sino kaya makakasagot? Dahil po ako ay, alam ko po noong 2004, nung ako po ay maging kasapi ng Kongreso, nagsimula na po akong magbayad ng PhilHealth. O baka mas maaga pa po ron. Kung gusto ko pong malaman ilan ang naibayad ko na sa PhilHealth ngayon, masasagot po ba ninyo ako, Dr. Pargas, o kung sino man ang kasama nyo ngayon dyan?
Since 2004 to date. Who's Dr. Vargas? Yes.
We have our membership pero pwede po nating ma-check sa data natin.
Pwede bang malaman ko ngayon kung magkano na ang naibayad ko magmula na ako ay naging congressman, Dr. Pargas?
Meron po ba tayong yung pong tumatayo sa membership? Nandito po ba? While they're checking, Honorable Marcoleta, pwede po kayo magpatuloy.
Dr. Pargas, totoo ba na nakita ko lang po sa website ninyo ito na yung mga opisyal ninyo na nangasiwa ng pagbuo ng PhilHealth membership database at yung kasalukuyang namamahala ng inyong IT sector ay pinarangalan po yata ninyo ng isang exemplary performance certificate. Tama po ba yun?
Mr. Chair, maaari ko po bang i-direct yung inyong katanungan sa aming management services sector? Sila po ang nakakaalam ng pagbibigay ng mga pagkilala sa ginagawa ng ating mga empleyado.
Bakit kayo po hindi nyo nalalaman yun? Sila lang ang dapat makaalam nun?
Meron po kaming tinatawag na praise. Yun po yung pagkilala sa mga na kontribusyon or nagagawa ng aming mga empleyado.
Kaya nga po paiwas kayong palagi. Nasa website po ninyo, kino-confirm ko lang, yung pong gumawa ng inyong membership database ng PhilHealth at saka yung kasalukuyang namamahala ng inyong IT sector, lumilitaw po dito sa website ninyo na binigyan po nyo ng parangal for exemplary performance. Tinatanong ko lang po kung pwede nyong i-confirm.
Meron po siyang award na binigay ang korporasyon. Mr. Chair, kino-confirm ko lang po. Mr. Chair?
Yes, please. Please turn on your mic. Okay. Ma'am,
Okay.
pagpakilala po kayo. Please
Opo.
state your name and position.
Ako po si Shirley Domingo, Dr. Shirley Domingo, Vice President ng Corporate Affairs Group. Tinignan po natin yung website ngayon. It's the Presidential Lingkod Bayan Awardee, si SVP Jovi Aragona. So confirm po na may ganun po.
Sa makatwid, siya po ay isang awardee. Mr. Chair, ano po ang naging batayan ng pagbigay sa kanya ng award?
Sa civil service po ito, so may I ask SVP Aragona?
SVP Aragona is recognized.
Yung sa civil service kasi, merong mga application. So, sila yung nag-a-assess sa civil service. So, nag-pass lang ng mga applications and then the civil service actually, sila yung nag-select.
Mr. Chair, kaya ko po tinanong yun, nakapagtataka kasi sapagkat doon sa mga naunang pagdinig natin, inamin ni President Morales na ang isa sa pinakaugat kung bakit nangyayari ang napakalaking anomalya na yan dahil nga fragmented ang kanilang database. Kaya nga po, kailangan nga raw nila na talagang i-improve nila yung kanilang information technology department. So kung ito po talaga ang pinakaugat ng problema, kaya hindi masawata ang mga anomalya na yan, bakit sila pa yung nabigyan ng award, Mr. Chair? Hindi ba parang inconsistent naman ito? Pakisagot nga po ng PhilHealth yan. Sinabi po ni Mr. Morales na masasawata lang, maihinto yung anomalya na yan, yung corruption na yan, kapag ka naayos yung database at tutulungan sila na maayos yan sa pamamagitan ng isang much improved information technology system. Kung ito po talaga ang problema, bakit sila pa yung nabigyan ng award, Mr. Chair?
Mr. De Jesus, you'd like to reply to that?
Kung naringgan ko po ng maigi ang pagkakasabi at sagot ni SVP Aragona, ang award na po yan ay nanggaling sa Civil Service Commission at yun po ang pinanggalingan ng award. Tungkol naman po sa problema sa IT at ang relasyon ng award doon sa problema ng IT, tunay po na ang isa sa pinakamabigat na problema ng korporasyon na kasing laki ng PhilHealth ay kailangan po ng mahusay na information system para po magampanan ng mas maayos ang kanyang mandato ayon sa batas. So
Yung mga
yun
tuwid
lang
po inaawin ninyo,
sa
yung mga tuwid inaamin po ninyo dahil ganyan po ang mga anomalyang nangyayari sa inyo at hindi pa maayos ang inyong IT, talaga namang hindi dapat pang bigyan ng parangal. Parang premature naman na pinarangalan ninyo yung mga tao na hindi pa nakagagawa ng improvement sa inyong system. Kahit nasabihin pa ninyo na galing sa civil service yan, sino po bang magbibigay ng input sa civil service? Hindi ba kayo? Kayo rin naman ang panggagalingan ng batayan eh. Hindi naman siguro kukuha mula sa wala ang civil service nang hindi nyo sinupply ang information para mabigyan sila ng parangal. Anyway, Mr. Chair, pwede bang aminin ng PhilHealth na dahil nga sa walang mekanismo kung paano maibabalik ang mga perang na ibabayad ng sobra-sobra sa mga ospital at saka mga HCIs, kapag ka ang sistemang ito ay nagpatuloy pa, Mr. Chair, sapagkat katakot-takot na mga fraudulent claims lamang ang maaari nilang tanggapin sa mga susunod pang mga panahon, aaminin po ba nila, Mr. Chair, na ang PhilHealth ay magmimistulang gatas ang baka?
Anyone from PhilHealth may reply?
Ang mga proseso po na nakalagay sa aming organisasyon ngayon ay
Pwede po bang sumagot na lang kayo ng diretsyo kapag po pa nagpatuloy ang sistemang ito, ang kasalukuyang sistemang pinaiiral ninyo sa PhilHealth, kapag ka ito ay nagpatuloy pa, lalong-lalo na po may kinalaman doon sa all case rate, hindi po ba magmimistulang gatasang baka ang PhilHealth? Yes or no po ang sagot?
No po ang aking kasagutan dahil iyan pong sistema ng ACR ay ipinasa at yan po ay may masusing pag-aaral bago ipinasa.
Ano po bang pangalan ninyo? Ano po pangalan ninyo?
Pamamaraan ng pagbabayad. Ngunit,
Mr. Chair, may I interrupt? Ano
Yes.
po ang pangalan ng taga PhilHealth na sumasagot sa mga tanong ko?
Mr. De Jesus, the Senior Vice President and Chief Executive Officer.
Mr. De Jesus, napapakinggan po ba ninyo ang pinag-uusapan natin? Kanina po hindi ma-justify ni Dr. Pargas kung paano natin malilikom uli pabalik sa PhilHealth yung sobra-sobrang naibabayad ninyo doon sa mga serbisyong naibigay ng ospital sa pasyente na sobra-sobra naman doon sa binayad ninyong serbisyo. Kanina inamin po ni Dr. Pargas na aralin nila kung paano po ito ay masusolusyonan, makukorek, sapagkat mali nga po. Napakarami pong fraudulent claims ang nangyayari rito sapagkat magmula sa isang sakit, nag-graduate sa isang sakit, at hindi naman ninyo namomonitor dahil wala naman kayong konduktor na kumbaga sa isang bus, wala kayong taga-analyze, wala kayong inspector, kaya palaging ganito ang nangyayari. Ang tinatanong ko po sa inyo, kung itutuloy po ninyo ang sistema na yan, pero wala kayong mekanismo para alagaan naman ang pondo ng gobyerno, hindi po ba magmimistulang gatasang baka ang PhilHealth? Yun lamang po ang tanong eh. Sagutin po ninyo ng oo, hindi. Nasagot po ninyo ay no. Paano mo masasagot na no, Dr. Biloso? Biloso ba, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Deputy
De Jesus po.
Mr. De Jesus.
Yes, Deputy Speaker.
Masasagot mo ba?
Stand corrected, Executive Vice President De Jesus and our Chief Executive Officer, Operating Officer.
Sa konsensya mo ba, Mr. De Jesus, masasagot mo na yan ay hindi magiging gatasang baka kapag ka pinagpatuloy ninyo ang sistema na yan ng ACR sa ngayon?
Kung sigurado po kaming magiging gatasan, yan po ay ipapatigil namin. Yun po ay walang alintana namin gagawin. Ang pinapaliwanag ko lamang po ay sa ngayong panahon na ito, yan po ang aming patakaran ng pagbabayad. Pero ang binabanggit din po ni Dr. Pardas,
alam ko po yun ang patakaran ninyo. Pero bakit pinipilit po ninyo na ipagpatuloy samantalang inaamin ninyo na magiging gatasang baka na lang ang PhilHealth? Ang tinanong ko po kay Dr. Pargas kanina, bakit ngayon nyo lang pag-aaralan yung napakalaking kamalian ng sistema na yan sapagkat nagbabayad kayo ng sobra-sobra? Mabuting-mabuti sana kung yung serbisyong ibinigay sa pasyente, tamang-tama lang sana doon sa panggagamot na ginawa ng ospital. Hindi po pangkaraniwan, napakarami po ng sobra na nawawala. Ngayon, ang sabi ni Dr. Pargas, ibinibigay na lamang na benepisyo ng ospital. Mali po yun, Mr. De Jesus. Hindi mo ba nakikita yung malaking kamalian? Bakit mo bibigyan ng sobra-sobra ang ospital na hindi naman na sobra doon sa ginawa niyang paggagamot, doon sa pasyenteng binayaran mo? Yan ba ay tamang pangangalaga ng pondo? Hindi po. At yan ay inamin na ni Dr. Pargas. Ito yung ulit-ulit naming tinatanong sa inyo. Sabi ni Dr. Pargas, aaralin po ninyo ngayon. So ang tanong, sa matagal na panahon, nagsimula kayo noong 2012, ngayon nyo lang naisipan na aralin. Malaki po ang pagkukulang ninyo sa ating pamahalaan o sa ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na po yung mga miyembro, sapagkat hindi nyo inalagaan ang pondo. Ito po ang susunod na tanong. Yung Integrity Committee po ng PhilHealth, Mr. Chair, pwede ba naming malaman mula sa inyo kung ilang ospital na ang napanagot ninyo o nakasuhan dahil sa mga fraudulent claims? Mr. Chair, nawawala na po.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have submitted the list of the hospitals that have been penalized by PhilHealth. I don't have the exact figures right now, but these are more or less 200 facilities, and so many cases are also pending before the Department of Justice, before the National Bureau of Investigation, and thousands of cases pending before our arbitration office. Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
So ang nagawa lamang po ninyo, mag-submit kayo sa amin ng listahan ng mga ospital na nagsubmit sa inyo ng fraudulent claims. At ngayon po ang sinasabi ninyo, inaakusahan ninyo sila. Meron na po ba kayong pondo na nalikom para lamang maibalik ng anti-fraud system ninyo? Meron na po bang naibalik na pera sa kaban ng PhilHealth maliban doon sa pagkakaso ninyo sa kanila?
Doon sir sa may mga decisions na revocation, we have revoked accreditation of several providers. We have also
tinatanong ko sa iyo kung meron ka nang nakolektang pera mula dito sa mga ospital na nilista mo na isinabit mo dito sa committee. Meron nang naibalik na pera sa PhilHealth?
As far as the fines are concerned, yes, Your Honor. But if I may expound, when I was...
Magkano ang naibigay na pera? Magkano nang naibalik sa PhilHealth?
Sir, yun nga po yung problema. Nung pag-assume ko dito, ay yung mga pleadings po at yung complaint, hindi po kasama yung losses na incur ng PhilHealth.
Del Rosario, hindi ko tinatanong sa iyo kailan ang pleadings na nai-file mo sa korte. I am not asking you as to how many pleadings you have filed in court. Maybe you're the best lawyer in this country. Marami ka sigurong kinasuhan. Ang tinatanong ko sa iyo, magkano na ang naibalik sa pera ng PhilHealth dito sa mga fraudulent claims na ito, magmula nang ikaw ay mapunta riyan sa opisina mo?
Sir, all the criminal cases are still pending, so there has been
So
no
wala ka pang naibalik na pera. Yun lang yung tinatanong ko, huwag kang paligoy-ligoy. Tinatanong kita, may naibalik ka na bang pondo mula doon sa mga fraudulent claims na pinagdidemanda mo?
Wala, sir, kasi pending pa po yung mga...
Wala pa, yun na lang. So kahit isa pa lang na ospital, dahil sa, ito nga ang malaking problema ninyo Mr. Chair. Dito sa all case rate na ito, na kung saan napakaraming fraudulent claims ang pinanggagalingan, pabaya sila, wala silang mekanismo, mabuti pa yung train, Mr. Chair, mabuti pa yung bus, meron silang inspector, sila napakabilis ng kanilang mga aksyon sa pagbabayad ng ospital, walang malasakit sa pondo, siguro hindi naman nila pera ito, pera ito ng miyembro, kaya napakabilis. Ngayon sa pangungulekta at sa pagkuha o pagbabalik ng mga misappropriated na funds, ayun, inamin ni Mr. Del Rosario, Atty. Del Rosario, wala pa siyang naibalik kahit isang sentimo mula sa pondo ng PhilHealth. Ganyan kalaki ang problema ng PhilHealth. Pagkatapos sasabihin kanina ni Mr. De Jesus, ayaw pa niyang aminin na sa sistemang yan, nagmimistulang gatasang baka ang PhilHealth. Mr. Chair, pupunta na ako sa IRM. Ito yung interim reimbursement mechanism. I'm going to make a follow-up on the questions propounded by Congressman Barbers. Kasi mukhang pinaikutan lamang siya ni Atty. Veloso Tinatanong kanina ni Congressman Barbers sa'yo, Atty. Del Rosario, ano yung legal basis ng interim reimbursement mechanism? Kasi tama naman ang umpisa niya, tinatanong kanya kung ano ibig sabihin ng reimbursement. Parang pinalitan mo yung definition ng reimbursement, ginawa mong cash advance. Kahit anong diksyonaryo sa buong daigdig, Atty. Del Rosario, hindi mo mapalilitaw na ang definition ng reimbursement ay cash advance. Ngayon, tinanong ka ni Congressman Barbers kanina, what is the legal basis of the interim reimbursement mechanism? Ang sabi mo, meron kayong pinalabas na legal opinion. First question, who issued the legal opinion?
The legal opinion, Your Honor, was issued by our internal legal department, headed by Attorney Rogelio Pocallan.
Sa pagkakaalam mo, yung inisyu ng inyong internal department is a legal basis? It is only a legal opinion.
It's, Mr. Chairman, we have submitted the legal opinion, and this only pertains to the general concept of implementing the interim reimbursement mechanism. And this states that the corporation has the authority to implement IRM, and we cited precedents during the Yolanda and the Marawi siege. And this pertains to the powers of the corporation to supervise the provision of health benefits and to set standards, rules, and regulatory necessary to ensure quality of care, appropriate utilization of services, fund viability, member satisfaction, and overall accomplishments of program objectives. This is found in Section 16, Paragraph C of RA 7875 as amended. Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Atty. De Rosario, napakasimple ng tanong ko sa iyo Yun bang legal opinion na inisyu ng isang departamento ninyo is a legal basis?
Sir, it pertains to the legal basis as to the authority of the corporation to implement a provider payment mechanism such as the IRM, which has been implemented before.
O bakit binabanggit mo yung Yolanda at kung ano pa? Pinag-uusapan natin dito ay yung sinasabi ninyong PhilHealth Circular number 2020-0007 it only pertains to COVID-19, hindi ba?
Yes, sir. We issued the legal opinion prior the issuance of the circular. Our legal opinion is dated March 16, 2020, Your Honor.
Teka muna, ang pinag-uusapan natin is the legal opinion. Did the legal opinion extend the definition of reimbursement?
No, Your
As
Honor.
advance?
No, Your Honor.
Oh. Nasaan ngayon yung sinasabi mong legal opinion that you can even change the definition of reimbursement into cash advance? Napakalaki yata nitong diferensya nito, Atty. Del Rosario.
We will look into the previous legal opinions issued by the legal department pertaining to the previous fortuitous events, Mr. Chairman.
No. Ang pinag-uusapan lang natin, sinabi ba doon sa legal opinion that you have the right to change the definition of reimbursement into cash advance?
There is no such discussion, Your Honor.
Attorney,
tama yun. Ngayon,
the Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, can you kindly submit to the committee the legal opinion as you have stated? Go ahead, Congressman Marcoleta. Please continue.
Atty. Del Rosario, doon ba sa sinabi ninyong PhilHealth, doon sa pinasa ninyong PhilHealth Circular 2020-0007, ay kasama ba yung pagbibigay nyo ng cash advance na 100 million sa Philippine National Red Cross?
No, Your Honor.
Hindi ba totoo na kayo ay nakapagbigay ng 100 million sa Philippine National Red Cross as mobilization fund?
That is covered, Mr. Chairman, by a different issuance, Your Honor.
What do you mean different issuance?
The PhilHealth has entered into a memorandum of agreement with the Philippine Red Cross pertaining to that, Mr. Chair. So it's not included in the circular for COVID pertaining to the IRM.
Ang sinasabi mo, Atty. Del Rosario, hindi IRM ito?
That is not contemplated under the IRM, although they have similar features. But the IRM is based on the computation of the IRM is based on historical claims, amount of claims of a certain provider. But in case of the Philippine Red Cross, since this is the first time that we engage them for such services, so there is no historical claims to speak of. So that's why it was covered by a different issuance, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
So ikaw na rin ang nagsabi that that's a different story. Kasi dapat may historical, di ba? Yung ibibigay ninyo na cash advance, aka reimbursement, dapat 3 months base doon sa historical claims na ibinigay sa inyo ng isang ospital, hindi ba?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Pagkatapos, ito namang Red Cross, wala naman siyang historical claim sa inyo eh. At wala rin naman siyang mga facilities na itatayo. Hindi ba maliwanag na iniba ninyo yung patakaran ng inyong PhilHealth Policy 2020-0007?
That's why, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I said that it was covered by a different issuance. The Red Cross and Philippine Red Cross and PhilHealth entered into a memorandum of agreement to cover such policy. It's not.
Bakit kayo nagkaroon ng parang special memorandum sa PNRC? What is the basis for that? Interim reimbursement mechanism ito. The basis of which are historical claims.
Maybe our corporate counsel can help me out, Your Honor. I'm not really familiar with all the issuances pertaining to Red Cross. I haven't prepared or studied the matter. If it's okay with the chairman.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Honorable Marcolita.
Kindly state your name and position, please.
I'm Attorney Robert Labe from the Corporate Legal Counsel. Yeah, it is correct that the PNRC, MOA, and PhilHealth is a different matter, and it's not covered by the PhilHealth Circular number 2020-007, Mr. Chairman.
Why so?
Because at that point, Mr. Chairman, there was already a issuance with regard to the bayanihan, and among others, that there's a need that there will be a targeted testing for our frontliners. And because of that, with the guidelines of DOH, PhilHealth will be the one to cater as regards to the payment, Mr. Chairman. So,
But what is the basis of 100 million? Why not 30 million? Why not 20 million? Why not 50? Why 100 million?
the basis of that, Mr. Chairman, as I can recall during the executive meeting, was that the targeted populations is in NCR. There were, I think, 13 million populations in NCR, and that was the basis corresponding to the amount times the 30 million, Mr. Chairman. And I think the total budget for that is 900 million. And to facilitate, Mr. Chairman, an advance payment of 100 million was provided for under the Memorandum of Agreement between PhilHealth and the NCR, Mr. Chairman.
But Mr. Chair, did PhilHealth know that the 100 million mobilization fund is even against the charter of the Philippine National Red Cross? Kasi ang Red Cross, hindi siya tatanggap lamang siya ng recovery sa mga cost na nagawa niya doon sa service rendered by PNRC. Wala pa naman siyang nare-render na na service So, it is not only violation of your own circular, but it is also in direct violation of the PNRC charter. Kasi sila recovery lang ng cost rendered.
As far as I am concerned, Mr. Chairman, I don't have the copy of the Memorandum of Agreement between PhilHealth and PNCR, but we can provide the Congress with regard to that MOA.
Please provide Congress with that copy of that Memorandum of Agreement. Okay.
Thank you.
Kung talagang meron silang mobilization fund na 100 million, bakit nung mag-testing ang PNRC o ang Red Cross, bakit pinagbabayad pa yung mga kababayan nating tinetesting? Hindi ba maliwanag naman na bayad na yon? Yung na-testing na kababayan natin, magbabayad ng 4,000 pesos. At kung hihingi siya ng certification, another 500 pesos. Why so?
Honorable Marcoleta, ang pagkakalam ko ho, ang nagastos na nila dyan, more or less, nasa 300 million pesos. Tama po ba? So please reply. Dapat PhilHealth na yun. Go ahead,
Mr. Chair.
Attorney.
Opo. To address the question of the Honorable Congressman, the PhilHealth will only pay for those tests that falls under the DOH protocol with those people that are covered under the expanded targeted testing. So if a person does not fall in that particular category, they will have to pay out of pocket. And the coverage of the PRC during the initial stages of the implementation of the MOA was for the OFWs. Yun po mga tinetest po noon ng Coast Guard. So actually po, bago po na-implement yung MOA, ang dami na po na-tests ng Red Cross. So yun po yung, at yung isang basis po doon sa natatandaan ko po sa mga discussion is the Bayanihan Law. And there was a letter coming from the Executive Secretary parang enjoining PhilHealth to cooperate and to enter into an agreement with the Philippine Red Cross as far as the expanded testing is concerned. Mr. Chair.
Attorney Del Rosario, kayo naman ay nag-advance ng pera sa Red Cross Hindi nyo man lang naisip na kapag ka itetesting na yung mga kababayan natin, ilibre mo na lamang sila sapagkat sila man ay nag-benefit naman ng inyong mobilization fund. Bakit hindi nyo isinama naman yon doon sa inyong memorandum of agreement? Kailangan pang magbayad ang sino mang magpapatest sa kanila, samantalang kayo naman ay nagbigay naman ng pondo sa kanila. Bakit hindi naman nyo isinama yung ganun?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The PhilHealth was actually willing to shoulder all the tests, subject, of course, to our financial viability. Ano po. But the PhilHealth is also governed by the DOH administrative order on what can only be paid by government funds.
Deputy Speaker Marcoleta, if you don't mind, baka pwede pumasok na tayo sa EXICOM. I will allow you, once we resume, to continue with your interpellation.
What is that, Mr. Chair?
If we can go now into to suspend the hearing, mag-suspend na po muna tayo. Pumunta na po tayo sa EXICOM at mula po doon pag-resume, ituloy niyo po yung inyong mga katanungan.
Konti na lamang po ito, Mr. Chair. Kasi hindi ako makapaniwala sa mga sagot sa akin ni Atty. Del Rosario. Kanina pa ako nagtataka kung bakit paikot-ikot at may halong pagsisinungaling na po ito eh. Unang-una, ang sabi po niya kanina, isa lamang ang kanyang departamento na kanyang pinamumuluhan. Samantalang ang pagkakaalam ko po, 4 na departamento po ang kanyang nasasakupan. Unang-una, Internal Legal Department, Prosecution Department, Fact-Finding, Investigation and Enforcement Department, at saka yung Protest and Appeals Review Department. Under oath po si Atty. Del Rosario, Mr. Chair. Pero kanina, dahil gusto niyang iwasan ng mga tanong, ang sabi niya, isa lamang ang kanyang departamentong pinangunguluhan. Bakit hindi po kayo magsalita ng tapat, Atty. Del Rosario, at kinakailangan pa ninyong magsinungaling?
Congressman Marcoleta, kasi kailangan din pong i-clear tong plenary just for the open and closing of session. So I will temporarily suspend and call you for the continuation of your interpellation, Deputy Speaker Marcoleta.
Okay, on that condition.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes. Anyway, we'll go executive session. Kasama mo pa rin kaming lahat.
Sir,
Attorney Del Rosario.
I just want to clarify.
Attorney Del Rosario, you will still be with us in executive session.
Thank you.
So with that session suspended until 3 o'clock, we will resume once we have opened and closed the session this afternoon. Session suspended, 3:05, session suspended.
Okay.